From Beasley Media Group Station, live from the Comcast Business Studios, 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
My question to start the show is, will the Phillies ever lose a baseball game ever again?
Just throw out the number.
It's unbelievable. The Phillies do it again last night, beating the Rangers 5-2. We have a ton of questions to digest about this Phillies team because they are so good. Why are they so good? How beloved are they? It's near the top for a lot of people's lists. This Phillies team is incredible. We talk about it today a lot on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Stars in cities, especially like Philadelphia, they are always on the map, and we should expect more winning out of them.
And we'll go to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I am a believer that your best player, I think there is also a responsibility as the team spokesperson.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Wednesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, it's so much easier to wake up after nights like last night.
It was, well, for some of us it was. Some of us it was, taking you behind the scenes. I think it is, again, I have a hashtag, and I put it on my hashtag, is one of my favorite word in the English language is joyous. And I think the joy that everybody is collectively feeling right now about a sports season, it's as special as I've remembered.
It is so special that last night, and in case you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about your fighting Phils, the 35-14 Philadelphia Phillies.
Say it again for the people in the back.
35-14.
That's bizarre. It's bizarre because it's not Memorial Day.
It is not even Memorial Day, man. And last night, the scenes at Citizens Bank Park, it's a Tuesday night in May. So we're not in the late June. We're not in July, August when kids are off from school. Yesterday was May 21st. It's the Tuesday. It's the Tuesday leading up to Memorial Day weekend. So it's not the following day. It's not after Memorial Day when kids might take off an extra day from school. Last night was a Tuesday night in May, no holiday week, and the Phillies had over 41,000 people in attendance. I know that's not a sold-out crowd, but normally at this time of the season, you don't see crowds like that. And yet you got 41,000, and I don't think it's just because the defending World Series champions were in the building. It's because this Phillies team has captured the eyes, the ears, the bodies, because obviously people are going to the games, of Philadelphia fans all across the tri-state area, and it's amazing.
Do you think this is walk-up, or do you think this is the love affair that this city has had for the last 2 years with the Phillies is just getting hotter and heavier?
I think there's more season ticket holders probably this year. Obviously, last year we saw, you mentioned it before the show.
10,000 more fans a game.
It was incredible last season. So I think a lot of people carried over their season tickets. I'm sure there's a lot of people that might not be selling them as often on the secondary market because maybe they want to go to the game.
That helps.
And then there's also the gate, right? That's the big deal. When you start getting that jump of fans, they're averaging 800 more fans this year. That's probably gate people, right? That's people going, I want to go to a ball game tonight. Oh, the Texas Rangers are in town. Let me go to that game tonight. Right, let me go see that game. And, oh, by the way, I get to watch my good Phillies team. This isn't like the Sixers process era when the Warriors were in town or the LeBron James Miami Heat were in town, and that's the only reason why the building sold out. No, there was probably more people that went last night because it was the Rangers. But for the most part, Johnny, I would guess that 80 to 85% of the people were there more so for the Phillies than the Rangers.
And to me, too, I look at those attendance numbers you're having. This has been arguably the crappiest weather I've ever seen for the start of a baseball season.
You're right.
We have not had many beautiful spring days to go to the ballpark. Beautiful. Yesterday was great. Yesterday was a little warm, but we'll take it. After all the rain we've had, we will absolutely take it. And it's just so exciting the way, and it's totally cliche, the way this team every single day has different people step up, different opportunities for people to shine, and so many of their stalwarts coming through over and over again. And Ranger Suarez, it's honestly 9 wins before Memorial Day it's flat out stupid. He has a chance to win his 10th Sunday.
It's amazing.
Really before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild.
It is unbelievable
wild.
what he has been doing. I have some incredible numbers for you today for Ranger Suarez. And you mentioned guys stepping up, right? Like there might be nights where half the team doesn't have a hit. That was last night. The Phillies finished with 8 hits last night, 8 of which came from Schwarber, Realmuto, Harper, Bohm. Your first 4 hitters in the order. They all had 2 hits. After that, everybody went 0 for. Did it matter? No, they scored 5 runs yesterday because Bryce Harper's a beast and goes yard yesterday.
You mean you mentioned that Alec Bohm again?
Alec Bohm with 2 more RBI. Like, it's unbelievable.
What's he got,
44 now.
44.
It's unbelievable what so many different guys are doing. And you're doing this without Trey Turner, who was one of the hottest hitters in baseball when he got hurt. And everybody thought, myself included, they're probably going to hit a little bit of a lull here because their hottest hitter has left the lineup. Nope, doesn't matter. We could just move up JT Realmuto to the 2-hole, which is where I've wanted him my entire life. Bryce Harper bats 3rd. Alec Bohm bats 4th. Oh, Alec Bohm doesn't hit 17 home runs in the first half of the season. Doesn't matter. He drives in 44 runs. It doesn't matter how he does it. He keeps on knocking runs in. This team just finds ways to win every single night, whether it's a 5-run effort, a 10-run effort, a 1-run effort, and the starting pitching and bullpen's tremendous. This team is 35-14, John.
No, that's it's absolutely crazy. And I looked at those numbers. I just pulled up Alec Bohm, and I didn't realize how many of these. You know, I knew he was leading the team in RBI. His runners in scoring position is stupid. His batting average just even of itself at 333, 44 runs batted in, and 60 hits.
I mean,
for Alec Bohm. I think that's a lot of people. I know a lot of people that had doubts about Bohm being the long-term answer.
Right.
And I said in the spring that I thought the Phillies should be thinking about trying to lock him down now.
You have been. And you thought, I remember we did some predictions before the season. You thought this was going to be the year where he really uplifted, even though he was great last year.
But he was going to take that next jump.
And be on the map. And he's now, look, he has to be on the map nationally, I would imagine.
Oh, he's absolutely
I imagine people look at the leaders in baseball and see Alec Bohm and RBI, that they probably go, oh, let me start paying attention to this kid a little bit more.
And not to mention the fact, too, is that, and Bohm, they may be saying, okay, we got a little bit of time with him, but I love the idea of buying people's arbitration years out, and Bohm is going to clean up. But another thing, all I could think of last night as the game went along, and my wife, who I told you has become obsessed with the Phillies.
Yep, which is great. And look, this
is probably happening all over town.
That's the gate, but at home.
Exactly.
Right? It's the person that goes, all right, I might normally not watch the Phillies, at least in May, but look at how this team's playing. I have to.
Rangers her favorite. And last night, Christina pulled up Spot Track.
No. Whoa.
I'm like, okay, she's obsessed now.
I know diehard sports fans that don't know what Spot Track is.
Well, she found it because she was looking up, how much is Ranger making this year? By the way, do you know how much he's making?
I would say pennies.
Oh, no, he's not really. I mean, because you only remember, he only has one.
He did the arbitration. He
avoided arbitration.
Right, okay.
But they agreed on 5. And he has 1 year of arbitration left. That's next year. And then he's an unrestricted free agent. Dave Dombrowski, you don't need to be told what to do. You're a brilliant front office guy. John Middleton, this is priority number 1.
Oh, yeah. And they're not going to let him go.
No. But this young man is doing everything you could want.
By the way,
it's so much fun to watch.
You want to know what Alec Bohm's batting average is with runners in scoring position? Can you guys take a guess?
365.
Oh, it's higher than that. Yeah, is he in the 400s?
He is at 412.
Okay, that's again, that's stupid.
That's awesome.
That's unbelievable.
Alec Bohm was batting 412 with runners in scoring position in 51 at bats. By the way, like that's a good sample size.
I hate this place.
Oh my God, yeah.
Can you actually point to a trajectory? And I'm sure one of our listening audience fans can do it. From that moment of his Phillies career.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people can. Yeah.
Because to me, that honestly was the launching off of the love affair with this town with him.
Yeah.
And his taking his game to a completely different mental level. Because he keeps improving. Alec Bohm keeps getting better at his craft. Keeps working, obviously, at his craft. I remember going into last year, arguing with Connor, saying, I don't know that he's not going to be a butcher at third base. Like, it's fun. I want to believe in the kid, but I think he has a chance to be a butcher over there. He's where we never saw Rhys Hoskins improve defensively at first base. Alec Boehm worked at his game and has become a very reliable
tremendously. And I remember speaking with Larry Bowe. I spoke again about it this spring with Larry when I was down in Clearwater, and he's like, he's out there every day working at third base. Like, he does not want to regress. He doesn't want to go back. Alec Boehm, I mean, his glove ever since that moment, I bleep and hate it here. Like that, like even after that moment, his glove got better.
It was 3 errors in one night, correct?
Yeah, and I think 2 of which were in the same inning.
And I mean, he has been so reliable from that point on. And to me, it just is one of those seminal moments in a guy's career where you can and we've seen it in this city, where we see like guys like Ben Simmons, who even when people tried to support him,
oh yeah,
it didn't work. He almost rejected the love and the hug. Markelle Fultz saw it. This city, I don't think he rejected it. I just think he saw it.
And he has since talked about it since leaving Philly that Philly was cool.
The fans put their arms around him and want him to do well. Alec Boehm has used that as a launching off point. I can't get over it. It is so much fun to watch this team. They are must-see TV.
Yeah.
And what a great moment last night again.
All right, so I have 2 questions to start with this Phillies team because today's going to be a very heavy Phillies day. I have something about Paul George that we're going to get to in this segment because it's not something that Johnny wants to hear, but it's something that we haven't done.
Interesting, I like that.
So I'll ask this question in a few minutes, but this Phillies team, I have 2 questions for you to start, and I have multiple as the show goes on. Question number 1 is, why is this team so good, right? Like, they're 35-14, and it's not like they're a team that nobody expected to be good. Like, we had high expectations. People were putting them at 100 wins to win this season. So this start is outrageous, right? 35-14, the start is crazy. But it's not surprising that they're one of the better teams in baseball record-wise.
They were not every single major media outlet, their Major League Baseball insiders, had them as a postseason team.
Right.
So it's one of those things, as you're making the point very adroitly there, or whatever you call it. They are
adroitly,
is it? Is that I think it's a word. Or adroit? Is it adroitly?
So. Spell it.
Is it adroitly?
Anyway,
it's either adroitly or adroitly. It is. They are a team that was expected to be good, that has embraced the pressure, embraced the expectations, and they've taken it to an entirely different level.
So let's talk about that. 610-632-0975 phone line, text line. Why is this team so good? That's question number 1. And question number 2, and I'll get Connor's thoughts and your thought, John, on why this team is so good, because there are reasons behind it. But question number 2, is this team, and I know we're only through 49 games, so I don't want to jump the gun too much, but is this one of the most beloved teams of your life? And now this carries over for a couple of years now, right? Because this is the same group of guys that were here in 2022, 2023. 2022, even though they didn't win the World Series, that will be one of the teams that will forever be near and dear to your hearts.
This city will love them forever.
Last year freaking sucked the way that it ended, but then this attitude that they've come in with this season, yet they're still the same lovable group. Like, this team, you see the energy inside the dugout night in and night out. You see the love affair between the players, let alone, like, player to fan. That team seems like they love each other, right? And I know no locker room's ever perfect, but I don't know. I haven't heard of any beefs inside this locker room. Like, this team is so well put together, and I have to ask the question, is this one of the most beloved teams of your life?
I apologize, too, to Larry Boehm. And when I see him, I'll apologize. Because hearing the bits of his interview with you down at spring training and you two talking, and just hearing you talk about his comments, I rolled my eyes at the ideas. This team's got a chip on its shoulder. This team's got this team has an attitude about it. This team has I sort of rolled my eyes going, it's 162, Larry. It's 162.
Yeah.
This team, what are they going to do? Are they going to come out and punch everybody in the throat for like 3 months? And just, they've done exactly that.
They're not just punching. They're punching and kicking, and they're doing everything.
I rolled my eyes when I heard it, thinking coach speak. Or, even though Larry, not coach.
Yeah, organizational
speak. He's reading from the playbook. These guys have come in with a renewed attitude because of that loss to Arizona. I truly believe it.
That's exactly what happened.
And I apologize, Larry Boehm, because I thought I should have known that if anybody was just spitting the truth, it was Larry.
Yeah.
Because he's not known for holding back.
No, he's definitely not known for holding back. So, Connor, what makes this Phillies team so good?
What doesn't?
Well, I know, but
what do you want me to say? That's the thing. There is no secret. They do everything well. It's crazy that they're able to do everything well, But the starting pitching is tremendous. The momentum that has been built with this staff has been incredible. And it's truly momentum, right? That makes everyone better. When Ranger pitches like that, it makes it easier to go out and throw today and tomorrow and after these guys because you're getting off to a really good start. They have 2 guys in the top 3 odds for NL Cy Young.
That's amazing.
Like that's bizarre.
That's straight up nuts. But on top of that, you have one of the highest powered offenses in baseball where any day a guy can win a game by himself. But you also have guys on the bench that can win a game almost by themselves, like we saw Cody Clemens do over the weekend with like that game-tying home run. Like, they're deep and they're talented. And then, let's go to the pen. The bullpen was listed as the best bullpen in baseball
going into the season,
by an MLB social
And then people
post.
panicked because, the first 2 games, the bullpen didn't really pitch all that well.
Right. And here's
what now?
They're not even at full strength in the bullpen yet with figuring everything out and where they need guys to be. And they just do every last thing well. The biggest thing that this team does well, Dave Dombrowski put together an amazing roster. That's all it is. Like
I wanted Strom to go the 9th last night.
Yeah. No.
So you had opted out of the text conversation last night. But as Connor and I, baseball guys,
you see
we're talking. I was I wanted Strom to go out for the 9th, and Connor goes, nope, Alvarado. It's got to be Alvarado, and that and obviously Bryce should have fielded that ball.
Yeah.
And
he's got to pick that.
He got to pick that one. That would have been 2 outs, nobody on base.
Yeah.
It got a little harem-scarum at the end.
But hey, the Phils get another win last night, 5-2. And I'll ask you, John, because you're not Mr. Warm and Fuzzy sometimes. You're warm and fuzzy with your family.
I'm analytical to a fault at times.
Is this one of the more beloved teams of your life?
No question. But it's way too early. Because if the wheels were to fall off in July and August, it wouldn't be.
But do you expect it to? I don't expect the wheels to fall off at all.
No, I expect that when this team has a bad month, they're going to win 56% of their games.
Right, exactly. That's a bad month.
That's going to be a bad month.
It's still over 500.
Right, they're going to go out there and they're going to, that's what it's going to be. I find this team endearing, and I love, if there's one thing, if you said to me you can rely on one thing about your team, I know most people will say the lineup to just be clubbing it.
Right.
To me, it's starting pitching. And this starting pitching is the best I've ever seen.
It's better than 2011.
Right now, period. And again, as we talked about, I didn't like that approach. I like this approach because this is guys ascending. And our buddy Pat used to always say that, the best free agent signing in this city may have been in the history of the city.
Zach Wheeler, man.
Maybe Zach.
Zach Wheeler.
And what he's done. And then you talk about Nola, who, you're going to get 4 out of 6 performances. 5 out of 8.
That will be.
They're going to be better. That are
2 of those might be elite, right?
Exactly.
Through a complete game shutout just 2 weeks ago.
And then you throw in what Ranger Suarez has become. This team's wild right now.
Yep, absolutely. So answer those questions for us on the phone line, text line 610-632-0975. What is one of the number one reasons that makes this team so good? And you could give us a couple of reasons. And the other question, is this one of the most beloved teams of your lifetime? And if it is, explain why. Like, I hear the stories. We do today's talk show, right? We focus on today. But, I hear the stories of the 70s Flyers, that they would go out and go to a bar afterward and just hang out with local fans. It kind of feels that way with this Phillies team. Bryce Harper's helping kids ask girls out to prom.
Okay, what about the kid coming up and knocking on his door, too?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really, very, very cool.
It's so cool.
That he doesn't find that annoying.
Right, that he goes, yeah, sure, kid. I'll go do that.
He said, let's go to her house. I think he wanted him to cut a video.
Yeah.
And he said, no, let's go over to her house right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome.
Right.
That's so cool. So that makes the attachment between player and fan as well is part of the reason why this team is so loved. Now, obviously, a 35-14 start helps, but it's the same group of guys that we fell in love with 2 years ago and last year. So what makes this Phillies team so good? And is this one of the most beloved teams of your life? Now, I want to ask this question, Sixers related. Connor, please play this quick clip from Keith Pompey yesterday when he joined the best show ever.
The guy that everyone's talking about, and, it's the Paul George thing. I mean, I think that, you go to the Sixers and you say, who can you get? Right now will be Paul George. That's the guy that they want.
That's the guy that they want. Now, John, you and I
don't even know this. I've been saying this for 2 months.
I know you have.
That it's I already know the ending to the movie.
Okay.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to go get another aging star.
You and I, we talk too much. We're yappers, right?
Yes, we are.
And then when we're not yapping, Connor's yapping. Hey, I don't think we've truly asked the audience yet if they would want Paul George.
We have not. We absolutely have not asked that.
I'm going to ask this question specifically in this way. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, the breaking news sounds, and we announced that the 76ers signed Paul George to a max contract. Your reaction would be what? I want to hear your answers on that. Again, text line or phone line. We got the warm and fuzzies with the Phillies today. But the Paul George thing, I don't want him because I'm worried about injuries. You don't want him because you're worried about injuries. I see why he fits perfectly from a basketball standpoint.
He's a declining asset.
But the injury history is a concern when you already have your best player with a major injury history. So if you were listening to the station and it was announced that Paul George signed a max contract with the Sixers, your reaction would be what?
You trying to bring the morning down?
No. Because there might be people that like him. Our man Stan from Drexel Hill yesterday
I can't wait.
Would totally be cool with Paul George.
I think he said because he was the only option.
Okay. So I would love to get your reaction on that. 610-632-0975. How good has Ranger Suarez been? I have some numbers for you that we haven't seen since the 60s. Tell you what next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. morning. An Adam Schefter Wednesday. He'll be joining us coming up at 8 o'clock as he does every single Wednesday. Can't wait to talk to Schefter. His OTAs start today for the Philadelphia Eagles. But we're starting off the show focusing on the red-hot Phillies, the best team in baseball, 35-14 win, 35-14 record, 5-2 win last night against the Texas Rangers. And I want you to answer some of our Phillies questions today. What makes this team so good? What are some of the top reasons you can think of? And is this one of the most beloved teams of your lifetime?
You talk about warm and fuzzy?
Yeah.
Now, I respect and admire him for a lot of reasons. I don't think warm and fuzzy when I think Tyrone.
Okay.
Tyrone Johnson, I think, is really, I mean, he's becoming like a cuddly teddy bear.
Yeah, he is when it comes to
the Phillies. He is loving this. He is loving this team because he's always got a scrutinizing mind and critique and everything. You hear Tyrone talk about this Phillies team, and he has uttered it like maybe the best team he's ever seen.
Oh, we're gonna steal that conversation at some point this show.
Steal it. They stole it from me.
I'm just.
No, but he's saying
sports
in Philly sports.
In Philly sports,
like the Eagles Super Bowl
he's
team.
He's falling in love with it.
That's another step.
Yeah, dude.
Well, he's fallen in love with this team. And I've got to tell you, it's a whole new side of Tyrone.
It's a beautiful side of Tyrone.
You got to tune in from 2 to 6.
Best show ever coming your way at 2 o'clock. Check it out. All right, so I want to get your reactions to this. You can call in or text in 610-632-0975. But real quick, before we get to the text line. And again, also answer the Paul George question. If you heard today, Paul George signs a max contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, your reaction would be what? Because John and I have talked so much about it, but we haven't really asked for your opinion. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so Ranger Suarez.
Serenity now. That's what I'd be yelling in my car.
Ranger Suarez.
Yes.
Historic. Remember last week he was doing something for the first time since 1908. We had Jason Stark give some numbers. How about a new thing today? Ranger Suarez, the first pitcher since Juan Marichal in 1966.
What?
To start a season 9-0 through 10 starts with an ERA under 1.50. First time since 1966, Johnny.
It's crazy. It's nuts. It's everything that Ranger does is truly starting to just blow me away. I will raise my hand, and I think if people are being honest, they would raise it with me. I didn't see the potential for Ranger Suarez to be the top of a rotation starter.
No,
I'm willing to admit
I don't think anyone did.
You don't think anybody?
No, like I know Ricky Bo saw
Ricky Bo did.
But top of the rotation?
Yeah, he did.
Like I don't think anybody thought Ranger Suarez would overtake Zach Wheeler one day.
Wait a minute. Ricky Bo said in spring training on this radio station, I think that he will be a top 5 Cy Young candidate.
Okay.
Right, but
Wheeler's in the top 5 as well.
No, but I mean, I honestly just, when I heard him say it, I'm like, Ricky.
Look,
that is bold and beautiful.
I'll take it. I'll take your word for it. I can't imagine anybody thought that highly. But I think a lot of people thought he'd be a good piece of the rotation. I remember when he first came up and was that long man, I was so upset that they didn't stretch him out to being a starter. That was the Gabe Kapler days, or I forget it was Kapler or Girardi, but they didn't want to stretch him out.
Sure.
And I'm like, just make this guy the starter. He's too good to not be one of your starting pitchers. And look at what we're seeing now. Historic numbers, 1966. Been 58 freaking years since we've seen something like this in baseball. Ranger Suarez, 9-0. His ERA down to 1.36 last night. He gives up an earned run yesterday. It still dropped a tenth of a point. Or a hundredth of a point. It's amazing, man.
I did it. He gave up that run. I'm like, come on, Ranger.
Come on, Ranger. What's wrong with you?
I'm like, come on, Ranger.
You stink. All right, what do we have on the text line today, Connor? I imagine the people are fired up this morning after yet another incredible win for the Phillies last night.
Yeah, how could they not be? And people are talking about what this team does special. This is great from Jim D. in Delray Beach.
Hello, Jim.
He says on the Phillies, what's interesting is the starting outfield's combined batting average is only .224 with 12 home runs. And there's still 21 games over 500, plus the backup catcher hitting 100.
But do we think right now, that those numbers are going to exponentially improve?
Like, look, I know he looks lost up there sometimes. I can't see Nick Castellanos hovering around 200 all season.
Nah.
He is a guy that has been in his career a higher batting average hitter. Like last year, he hit 272. In 2022, where a lot of people were out on Nick Castellanos, he still finished hitting 263. So I think he climbs up. It might not be in the 260s because he's buried this deep of a hole, but I could see Castellanos climbing up to 240 at some point. Like, he's going to have the hot month, right? Everybody has the hot month. Bryson Stott had the hot month. Alec Boehm has had the hot season. But, June Schwarber's coming. Harper's going to have a big month. We saw last year with Trey Turner. Trey Turner, the first month of the season was good, but months 2, 3, 4 was terrible.
Terrible.
And then he had the hot month of the season after that, and it carried into the playoffs for the first couple of rounds. So I expect Castellanos to go up. Like, I don't think Garrett Stubbs' batting average is going to skyrocket, right?
Can we just keep him in the triple digits?
I'm just not.
I think he's a nice 103 now.
Yes. I'm not expecting him to play all that much, but I could see Castellanos' batting average going up. We'll see what the deal is with Brandon Marsh. I don't know how comfortable they still are yet with him playing against left-handed pitching. We still kind of see, like, the Phillies have kind of told you what they think about Brandon Marsh, that he's more of a platoon guy. That's why they were so hungry for a fourth outfielder this offseason. But, yeah, I mean, look, they're winning these games, and the batting averages are as low as they are right now. It's incredible.
It's nuts. That's just kind of how it goes around baseball. We have another check-in here from Bill and says, my grandfather used to preach starting pitching. And the Phillies have 3 horses, which makes the bullpen better. They're hitting with guys on. He brings up Alec Boehm there. They're making more contact. I mean, and he says, I said last week they have no weaknesses, and I'm starting to believe it.
Yeah,
they really are.
Other than we've complained about base running this year. But what if there's no weakness in the starting pitching? I mean, look, I know sometimes we get frustrated about the Spencer Turnbull decision, but it's not like Christopher Sanchez and Taijuan Walker have ERAs of 6. Right, like they're still 4 and 5 rotation where they could be 3 somewhere else. Like they could be 3, they could be 2 on a bad team. Like Christopher Sanchez, who knows where he could be on a bad team of a rotation. The lineup is deep. Connor mentioned the first segment. You're missing some players. Guys like Cody Clemens steps up and plays well. Like they have a deep team.
It's deep by today's standards. That lineup, I like you said, weakness. I think that outfield's not. That's not strong.
Oh,
when you're
it
talking.
is.
Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Tell me.
What's not strong? What are you worried about with the outfield?
Well, I'm worried about the fact is you can beat a lot of bad teams when you've got absolutely subpar batting approach in your outfield. But you're not going to, when the biggest games come and the toughest pitching staffs come, that's going to be something I'm going to have to see to believe.
Well, we'll see it.
Yeah, but Brandon Marsh...
Because that's what matters. October matters.
Right. Brandon Marsh started the season with like a month and a half of having one of the most consistent, like, high exit velos in baseball.
Right.
Now
he's dropped down to 252, but he could get back up at some point.
Castellanos was an all-star last year.
Yep.
I have zero belief that is anything but a 2.5-month blip on the radar.
Well, he was an all-star twice in his career, so he's done it before.
Yeah, he's a good ball player.
No, I'm just talking about a Phillies career.
Okay.
I have no...
Well, the point is he's not just like a write-him-off guy. Whit Merrifield was an all-star last year. You have Christian Pache, who's been solid in relief out there and left. Like, I don't know. They're a good outfield.
I have a deep baseball team.
I'd have no problem if they moved from Pache at any time if they moved on from him.
Look, we'll see.
Whit Merrifield, I don't know what Connor sees that, and I don't want to read like, well, this is what he did for other teams. Whit Merrifield doesn't look like
Here's what I see, John. If you had a choice right now, game on the line, 9th inning, you need to pinch hit somebody, and it's Whit Merrifield or Jake Cave.
I'd rather have Whit Merrifield.
No. You're absolutely
and he's
right.
playing the role Whit Merrifield or Derek Hall. Like, I'd rather go Whit Merrifield, even though Derek Hall's younger and has more pop.
I'm not saying he's an all-star this year, but I'm saying he's significantly better than the guys in that role last year when you were a game away from the World Series.
Here's another thing that's really important to your batting average concern. Sure. I mentioned to you that Alec Boehm's batting average with runners in scoring position this season is 412. He's hitting 333 on the year. Bryce Harper's batting average is 280. He's hitting 372 with runners in scoring position, almost 100 points higher. Bryson Stott's batting average this year is 273. With runners in scoring position, it's 375.
Stott is another one, though, that has really come around.
Yep. Brandon Marsh's batting average has dipped down to 252, but with runners in scoring position, it's 324. Like, you have four guys hitting 300 or better with runners in scoring position, and it's a full 100 points higher than their actual batting average in the season. Like, it shows that these guys are finding ways to drive in runs, and it's not always about the long ball. I mean, that's been one of the biggest things. I know they're still top 5 in home run or top 6 in home runs this year. Has it felt like they've relied on the home run this year?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Like,
no, it doesn't.
It feels like if there's runners in scoring position, they will find a way to get them in.
Harper or Schwarber leading them in home runs?
Schwarber, I believe.
I thought it was Harper.
I'm sorry, Harper with 11, Schwarber with 9.
Okay, so I mean, the fact is, like those numbers there. If you told me that going into Memorial Day, Harper and Schwarber would be at 20 home runs combined, I certainly wouldn't have penciled in 35 and 14. There's nothing that would have told me to pencil in 35
nothing
and
would.
14.
Yeah, nothing would.
But I mean, I would have said, ooh, if you told me those outfield numbers, the batting
averages, yeah.
I would have gone, ooh.
But here's the beauty. So
Okay.
Schwarber is hitting, I know 220 is not like exciting.
Hey, wait.
It's not 180.
No, for Schwarber.
Right, it's not 180. Like he's finding other ways to put the ball in
What's
play.
the OBP? 350?
Kyle Schwarber's on base is 343,
Okay,
slugging 390.
I can live with the 343, absolutely. That's fine.
And again, June Schwarber, that's not just been 1 year. Like, that's been his entire career. So there's a lot of excitement with this Phillies team. We'll be talking about it all day today. Would love to get your reaction on the phone line, the text line, 610-632-0975. The Phillies are the best team in baseball. We've been saying that, it seems like, for about a month now, and that hasn't changed yet. We've heard from Tim Kirkchin calling them the best team in the National League. Buster Olney, the best team in the National League, who, by the way, will be joining us Friday. Can't wait to talk to Buster about it. Bob Nightingale earlier this week with Kevin Cooney calling the Phillies the best team in the National League. And some guys are going as far as saying the best team in Major League Baseball. And I don't see how you can make the case that they're not.
No, you can't. You can't. I can't wait to really take a real good look at the standings on Memorial Day.
Dude.
Because now, honestly,
telling you right now, it's fun to look at.
This is the year. I usually do this as the defense mechanism. This year, I've got the itch and the rash.
I'm surprised you've waited this long not to scratch it, man.
Still got to wait.
All right, more reaction, 610-632-0975. But also, coming up next, something that we are going to keep an eye on today that could lead to some discussion tomorrow. We'll tell you what that is next. It's another big day in the sports calendar. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Bob Cooney.
A lot of listeners have brought this up to us.
Wednesday, Johnny. A joyous Wednesday morning after watching yet another Phillies win last night, taking care of business against the Rangers. I know it's just game one of a 3-game series, but for all you, they haven't beaten anyone yet, people. Come on. It's a nice win last night. And don't give me the Rangers record. It was a nice win last night.
They're the world champs. I don't want to hear anything from anybody.
Nope.
They're the world freaking champs.
I don't know, boys. They're now under 500.
Oh, yeah. So we shouldn't get on our high horse about the Phillies today, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
So we need the Rangers to win the next two to get back above 500.
Bro, you could get on a horse as high as Willie Nelson this morning. Go for it.
Oh, man, the Phillies are.
I don't get that.
Mr. Analogy over there.
Yeah, I think you'll figure it out.
Phillies are just red hot right now.
Okay.
It's been a lot of fun.
Gotcha.
Would love to get more of your reaction on the text line or the phone line, 610-632-0975. But OTA start today for the Eagles, so it's another big day in the sports calendar. I know this. Look, I mock it all the time. I think it's stuff that we get hyped up for, and then it's a total letdown because it's really not that exciting. But as you said yesterday, this is also a good time to get some good storylines.
I love the OTA thing. And I don't love it because of following the beat writer's tweets.
Right.
Jalen Hurts has thrown 2 incompletions.
So you have a love-hate with it.
No, I don't even pay attention to that.
Okay.
I honestly. By the way, when it comes to training camp, sometimes I will mute people. because
you ever
I
forget
can't.
to unmute them?
Oh, no. I'll remember because usually if I follow somebody, I think they're quality.
Okay.
So, but there's some things people will do on social media that just go, I'm out. I cannot have stats from training camp.
Okay.
Cannot have it. But to me, I look at it and I say, there are storylines that will come out of camp that can totally get me fired up. When I heard the Baby Rhino stuff last year and would read the more in-depth pieces about what the veteran players were saying about a guy like a Jalen Carter.
Right.
What I know is this, and from years of – I never covered an NFL team full-time, but I did years of around 15, 20 years of camp shows for around 2 weeks of training camp where the players would come off the practice field and be right there with us.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I heard players, they don't want to gush about young players. They never want to, and I mean some of the best guys you could ever meet. Matt Ryan, one of the nicest players you could ever meet. They don't want to gush on young players.
Now, is that because they're coming for their jobs?
It's like it's more of a code of, I think that they feel like they could be putting pressure on a kid.
Okay.
Or they just don't want to. There's some veterans who are like, screw these guys. You're going to carry my stuff.
Right, exactly.
And I'm not going to pay any compliments. But to me, when I heard the Eagles veterans that they have in the past 2 years, what they've dealt with Jordan Davis, what they've dealt with Jalen Carter and everything, it fires me up. I want to know who that player is going to be this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be...
I can't wait for that.
Like, it's going to be exciting, and I wonder who that player will be. Like, I can't wait to see some footage of Quinyon Mitchell, right? Like, that's... I know everybody... Cooper DeJean's going to be the guy that's talked about probably the most because of the mystery that he is, because you don't know where he's going to play. He could be a slot. He could be a safety. But, dude, you drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. There was talks about potentially trading up for him. He's supposed to be the cornerback that's going to be here for 10 seasons, right? That's the guy that I'm most intrigued by when it comes to these OTA talk, or what the stories that I get out of OTAs.
If you're talking about Quinyon Mitchell, I think it's something that all summer as we discuss this, he's the guy that if they got that right, my expectations for this team then could potentially go through the roof. If they have that kind of corner, and I hate the shutdown corner crap.
Right.
I don't believe in that term. I think it's ridiculous.
No, but you want a guy that can actually make a play.
Exactly.
Right.
And I do think he is a playmaker. And I do believe that this is a guy. He could be a huge difference maker in year one if they got this right. And if they got it right, I'm telling you, my expectations for this team then go through the roof.
I don't want to overhype draft picks too much.
Okay.
But I'm just looking at the players that they selected. And there is a lot of interest in all these players. So Quinyon Mitchell, can he be that cornerback that steps up? Cooper DeJean, as I just mentioned, he's probably going to be talked about the most because of the mystery of who Cooper DeJean could be. Jalix Hunt, a guy that nobody really heard of except for a couple of people like Andrew DeCecco that did deep dives into the draft, but I don't think many people watch Houston Christian football games.
No.
I'm just going to guess not many people use that on their FanDuel app or any of the other apps around.
And as you said, DeCecco can actually point to 3 different times mentioning it on Fanatic shows.
Right.
Jalix Hunt. And I'm like, who the hell's Jalen?
Right, exactly. But that's a guy that I'll be interested to pay attention to. Will Shipley, the running back out of Clemson. A lot of people saying that was a great selection in the 4th round.
I loved watching him play in college.
And he's now the potential replacement to Kenneth Gainwell down the line.
Down the line.
Not yet. Gainwell's going to still play this season.
Gainwell will be here this year.
Yes,
and then he's gone.
And then he's gone.
Then he walks.
Aeneas Smith, a lot of people saying that he could step in right away and be your slot wide receiver. Right? Like this kid's a rookie out of Texas A&M. He's already being talked about as a guy that's probably going to get meaningful snaps. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., there's a reason why he fell to the 5th round. But obviously the name, there's an intrigue factor there. Trevor Keegan, a guy that could potentially be, he might fight for the starting right guard position.
Who looks like an Eagle.
Yeah, absolutely does.
He has a look about him.
Yes.
That he fits this town, fits the position. And two, the Eagles drafted 2 wide receivers.
Well, and Johnny Wilson's the other guy.
And Johnny
he's what, 6'5", 6'6"?
Johnny Wilson's a guy, to me, that's incredibly intriguing.
Yeah, because
to think of what now project.
Right, project, big time.
But that's incredibly intriguing.
6'6", he's 23 years old, so he's a little bit older than a lot of the other players that were drafted. But at 6'6", you go, hey, let's take a flyer on this guy in the 6th round. I think that's a pretty fair thing to do. So there's going to be a lot of storylines coming out of OTA starting today that we'll probably react to tomorrow. But I'm excited for it, man. It's just another day in the NFL calendar when we still have to wait another 4 months for the games to actually start.
I'm fine with it. We're getting towards 100 days to the Eagles opener.
Oh, really?
It's getting to, yeah.
Kincade's calendar.
Well, you know my little
we have
countdown
Kincade's
clock.
Calculator. We have Kincade's calendar.
Oh, yes. I've got all those things already figured out.
You're amazing.
It's 107 days today. So a week from today.
A week from today. That's beautiful, man. Can't wait. All right, coming up next, we reset the show that we've been talking about. The Phillies, why they're so good, how beloved they are. And have you ever seen a team like this in Philadelphia? We'll talk about that. And also this Paul George thing. I know a lot of people have checked in on the text line. We'll get some of the answers coming up next. If the news breaks today that the Sixers signed Paul George to a max contract, your reaction would be what? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Today, from now, Adam Schefter, because it is a Wednesday morning. He'll be joining us coming up at 8 o'clock. Get into some Eagles and NFL conversation with Schefter. But the first hour of the show has been a heavy Phillies focus as the Phillies beat the Rangers last night. Game 1 of their 3-game series against the defending World Series champions. And the Phillies are just red hot. They win again. They're 35-14. Ranger Suarez doing things that we haven't seen since Juan Marichal in 1966. Like, it's unbelievable what Ranger Suarez has done. And I pointed this out earlier. They also did this in a night where the team had 8 hits, but all 8 of those hits came from the first 4 hitters. They all had 2 hits. The bottom 5 of the order didn't get a single hit last night. And yet they win again, man. This team just finds ways to win every single night. Stars step up. We've seen the daycare step up. We're seeing the uplifting of Alec Boehm's career with what he's done so far this season. I mean, they've just been an absolute joy to watch, Johnny.
It is every single night. And I heard Bob say yesterday that his buddy was complaining to him that Monday night they had a night off.
Well, yeah, because you didn't want to stop watching them.
Yeah, they are. They're really fun to watch. And we wanted to go on a little family walk last night and go out and just with Liv was home for the night, and Christina goes, well, wait, the Phillies are on though.
That's great.
I said, your daughter's home.
That's great.
We can catch up to the Phillies game.
Because people are in, man.
We put it on pause. We can catch up to the Phillies game.
Yes, you can. You can go through the commercials and all that kind of stuff.
It was just too fun.
But look, that's a sign of what the Phillies have done to this fan base. I've mentioned gate at home, right? Viewership has probably gone up. But gate at the ballpark last night, over 41,000 fans were in attendance for that Phillies game last night. It was a Tuesday in May. School's not done yet, right? Kids aren't done for the summer. I know a lot of colleges are done, a lot of college graduations, but I'm sure a lot of kids are doing the beach trips, all the early trips. I'm sure not everybody's around, and yet this Phillies team is so good that it is drawing in over 41,000 people on a Tuesday night in May. Now, school's not out for another month.
Now, a gentleman here, and he says, I'm not trying to wet blanket. He goes, but when the world champions are coming in, there's always going to be a lot of advanced ticket sales. I think it's more than that. I do think, though, there is a draw to seeing the world champs when you see the schedule.
There is, but can I say something?
Sure.
World champion Texas Rangers
doesn't have the same as Yankees.
Or Astros. No. Red Sox. Like, with all due respect to the Texas Rangers, congratulations on your World Series last year. Nobody's really going, oh, wow, the World Series Texas Rangers are in town.
You see, you say that, but then you look at who the Phillies have been playing for the first 2 months, and it might be like I know people that I'm friends with that were like, I've got tickets for this game. I got them a month ago. I wanted to see the Rangers. Like, because they just haven't played anyone who's been that high profile since the opening series.
I also wonder how much of the gate is now Ranger Suarez. Yeah. Speaking of Ranger, how about Ranger Suarez? Like, if there's a Ranger Suarez start at Citizens Bank Park, that's intriguing for me to go, I want to go see that man pitch. He's been the best pitcher in baseball.
Now, I told you, the wife newly obsessed with the Phillies this year, just totally off the rails. Her favorite player, Ranger Suarez.
Yeah.
If all holds well, his next start will come Sunday, and then his following start will be at the bank Saturday night, June 1st. And that's the night that she goes, we need to go to a game.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're going that night.
That'd be cool. And a Saturday night, dude.
Saturday night.
Citizens Bank Park.
I might go to that one.
I might too. Like that might be hey, Cooper, you're staying up late tonight. You know what I mean?
It's one of those 7:15 starts.
It's amazing. I mean, what this team has been able to accomplish, what a lot of the individuals have been able to accomplish, but the individuals have all stepped up together, and that's why you see this record. Now, I'm going to get to the text line in a second, but speaking of this record, the Phillies, I mentioned Ranger Suarez and his history.
Okay.
The Phillies could make history tonight.
What could they make history tonight?
If they win tonight, they're 36-14.
Okay. Is that
the best start through 50 games in Phillies franchise history, which dates back to a little bit before you were born, John?
What is it?
1800s.
1883.
Yeah, 1883. Yeah. It will be the best start.
That's senior week.
50 games.
We partied though.
Oh, did you?
Wasn't it Prohibition?
No, it was no. Because Bob Cooney, Bob Cooney's friends were like, they had already worked out an angle.
Oh, okay, good.
We got around Prohibition.
50 games.
Camden Catholic kids knew how to do it.
If they win tonight, it'll be the best record through 50 games in Phillies franchise history.
Okay, now this is a franchise that has been pretty tortured.
Yes.
As far as the losingest franchise in pro sports history.
So it's not such a shock.
But 36-14, I would imagine, is the record for almost any franchise.
I would say a lot of teams. You're right. I mean, that's a great.
like the Royals we heard this morning on the ESPN overnight. I'm not sure if you heard it. The Royals set their 50-game record yesterday, 31-19.
Right. Okay.
And the Royals haven't been a god-awful franchise for the majority of their history.
No, of course
There's
not.
been many, many times where they were a very competitive, scrappy, small market team. That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
36-14 though is it's a crazy number.
By the way,
it's crazy.
There was a Red Sox team. I didn't see what year that went. 49-1.
What?
Yeah.
No.
40? No, not 49-1.
49-9-1.
They tied. This was in 1946. I guess they were still keeping ties because maybe the lights weren't on at the ballpark, so they had to.
Okay, that's wild. That's a wild.
But that's the best start in Major League Baseball history. Was 40 wins through 50 games. Phillies are pretty close to that.
And that one could be
36.
Like the mere aftermath of a war.
Right.
Like,
right, exactly.
I don't think that was the highest quality baseball.
Ted Williams is just like, I got this, man. I just fought some bad people, and now I'm going to hit 400.
And then was mean to me later in his life. So
yeah, you probably deserved it.
Well, his head ended up in
I was going to say, don't talk too much. He might come back and be mean.
His head ended up in a cryogenic chamber in a jar.
Dude, watch me say he might come back with AI and all this stuff now.
The man was not nice to me in I'm telling you, in Crystal River, Florida. He lived near my aunt and
Only
uncle's.
you, man.
And
Only
I will hold that grudge as long as his head sits in that jar.
All right, so Connor, give me a Phillies text. The questions that we started the show off with the Phillies is, why is this team so good? And is this one of the most beloved teams of your life? You can text in, call in 610-632-0975. And we also asked a question about Paul George that we'll get to in a few minutes. But what do you have on the text line about the Phillies today, Connor?
Yeah, Mike from Turnersville checks in and says this Phillies team is lovable because it's such a good mix of homegrown youth ascending and veteran players who know how to play the game. This started with the magical run to the World Series, and it's continued, and hopefully this season is the culmination. Phillies pitching this season seems eerily similar to the Astros' collective dominant pitching in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it does. They had ridiculous arms in that rotation. The Phillies have it so far, and let's see if they can keep that up. Now, it's interesting. He brings up the homegrown talent. I've said this a million times. I don't give a damn how you got here as long as you're winning games. I don't care if you were the highest paid free agent. I don't care if my team traded 5 top prospects for you or if you were a homegrown talent. But I do know that a lot of people in Philadelphia love that homegrown talent guy. If you look at the starting lineup yesterday, you had Bohm, Stott, and Rojas. So three of your 9 are homegrown guys. And then all of a sudden, Brandon Marsh was a very young player that you traded for.
Well, remember, guy on the mound, homegrown too.
Yeah, that's right. And Ranger Suarez. Sorry, thank you.
Think of 08. I mean, if you just try to do the correlations between
Lee Howard and Rollins, yeah.
That was always part of the key.
Chooch.
And even though we don't count Victorino as being one of those guys, and we don't really,
don't count Jason Worth,
but they didn't make their names in Major League Baseball anywhere
until they came to Philadelphia.
I almost consider that homegrown light.
Okay, I got you. That's fair. And I know people love that. I don't really care.
I do.
As long as you're winning.
I do.
I don't care.
I do, because what it means to me is it means to me that my organization got things right.
Okay. Well, I can say that they got things right with signing Bryce Harper.
If any, you could, with all due respect to you, and you're a baseball guy.
Yes.
And your baseball acumen. Any moron off of the,
All right, fine.
Any moron riding the Red Arrow into 69th Street this morning out of Delco could absolutely have said, oh, what would be good for the Phillies? Sign Bryce Harper.
Fine, they were right to trade Sixto Sanchez, a guy that people thought was the next Pedro Martinez, for JT Realmuto.
He still could be. He's just got to drop 150 pounds.
Yeah,
there is like, it's funny, but I watch those kind of moves. Like, to me, the more, and I guarantee you, Connor's looked at it too. I think Logan O'Hoppe is a guy that's looking like he'll
be a nice ball player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be.
Connor and I talked about this off the air yesterday. It's just he was blocked.
You were talking about O'Hoppe?
O'Hoppe,
yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, every time I see an Angels highlights on MLB Network or something, and they're talking about young riser Logan O'Hoppe, and I'm going, ugh.
But Brandon Marsh would be doing more for you now, last year, and next year than Ohapi would be for the Phillies.
He would be.
Because JT Realmuto is your starting catcher, and it's not like Realmuto's the whole, move him to first base. You already have Bryce Harper there. He's not going to play DH. You have Kyle Schwarber there. So he's going to be behind the dish for the majority of his time here in Philadelphia, as it should be, because he's still a tremendous catcher. Now, the other thing that we're talking about today, John and I are yappers. We talk a lot, right?
We do.
We do it for a living, believe it or not. So we've talked a lot about Paul George, because Paul George seems to be on the radar of the Philadelphia 76ers, maybe number one. I'll let Keith Pompey tell us one more time. This was from the best show ever yesterday. Keith Pompey talking about Paul George.
The guy that everyone's talking about, and, it's the Paul George thing. I mean, I think that, you go to the Sixers and you say, who can you get? Right now will be Paul George. That's the guy that they want.
So that's the guy that they want. That is a quote from Keith Pompey, that is the guy that they want. We have both made it clear that we would not want the Sixers to sign Paul George to a max contract. I have made it clear, I know from a basketball standpoint why it makes sense, but to what John and I both agree with, which isn't often, is the injury concern. Yes, he played 70-plus games last year. Good for him. That's great. But the 50 games in the previous 4 seasons, which I already deal with my other star player, I need an insurance policy. If I'm paying max money, and this might be unfair, but I need an insurance policy for when Joel Embiid gets hurt. Not if, when.
And I don't believe that if Paul George came here, it is a terrible move. This is atrocious. This is no vitriol. But to me, again, he is a declining asset. He is not an ascending player by any way, shape, or form, and he is a broken player. And to me,
I want to say he's broken.
No, he's a broken physical player. He is. When 4 out of 5 years have been what they've been, he is a broken physical player.
Maybe got fixed last year.
Yeah. Okay.
He had a good season last year.
Yeah, but I'm not betting on it for long term.
And that's fine. That's fine.
I'm not going to bet on that.
And it doesn't scream like if you say, remember yesterday, Keith Pompey, speaking of Keith Pompey, he was on the station 2 nights ago too. He mentioned that LeBron could get a 4-year deal. And 2 of the years are hey, legit basketball. The other 2 are the thank you for helping us win. I would rather sign up for that than a max contract with Paul George.
I would absolutely too.
Because
are you surprised to hear me say that?
No.
I mean, if you told
LeBron screams NBA championship chances, Paul George doesn't.
I think if LeBron comes here, if you were somehow able to swing that, you got 2 knocks at the door. And with LeBron, you may be kicking the door in to just get further than you've ever been and also, I think people are flocking to play with LeBron James.
Yes.
I don't think anyone is flocking to play with Paul George.
Could be, or they're flocking to what the dollar sign is, and the Sixers do have a lot of money to spend this offseason.
They do.
But you and I have talked about this a lot.
We have.
But we haven't really, and shame on us, we haven't really asked the audience. Because we did have Stan, our caller yesterday, that said Paul George gets a bad rap. I would like him here if they can't go get some other guys. So let's ask more of the audience today, John, at 610-632-0975. The breaking news sounder hits, and you hear one of us loudmouths say that the Philadelphia 76ers have signed Paul George to a max contract. Your reaction would be what? And I know we have a bunch coming in on the text line. What do we have, Connor?
Yeah, June from Yardley checks in, says, on the Paul George signing. See you in 5 years. That's it.
Really? So he would check out?
That's what it says.
Man.
Jamal on Twitter sends us a tweet. And he says, if the Sixers signed Paul George, it'd be like watching an episode of Two Broke Men. Sort of like the Two Broke Girls. Back in the day, that sitcom, which was unfunny, by the way. Terrible.
Unfunny, but big fan.
Big fan.
You were a big fan of that?
We'll move on.
We'll move on.
That's shocking.
Big fan.
Okay, this is one of the most shocking things I'm learning about both of you.
I didn't watch the show.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, you just
there he is. Welcome to the conversation.
Okay. I know it's still early. I got to sleep in today. You guys didn't. All right, what else do we have? So that's 0 for 2 so far.
We have a first-time texter here. No name on this one.
All right.
Sign Paul George, and I'm out. This team, management, and ownership has zero vision and will never win squat.
All right, let me ask you guys something. This is a great question, I think. We have celebrated John Middleton saying that him signing Bryce Harper over Manny Machado had a lot to do with the Twitter poll by Todd Zlecki. He has been quoted saying it. Now, I don't necessarily buy it.
I don't buy it either.
I don't buy it. But, hey,
But Todd Zalecki does a nice job.
Yes, but John Middleton said that during his press conference that we signed him because we saw a Twitter poll and 65% of people wanted Bryce Harper over Manny Machado, and we wanted to listen to the fans. We owe it to the fans. We had a 10-year playoff drought, right? Does Daryl Morey owe it to Sixers fans who have gone through a lot? Think about everything that we've gone through post-process, and that's ignoring the 16 years prior, right? That's ignoring everything since 2001, the last time the Sixers got into the Eastern Conference Finals. Does Daryl Morey owe it to Sixers fans, or should he ignore what Sixers fans say when it comes to Paul George when our first three responses, just three, but our first three responses are I'm out?
I think that many, many times, I don't believe this, that our listeners are like mentally aligned with me. And if they are, there are mental health professionals that can help you. But on this issue, I think with the Sixers, I think I speak for the masses much more than the majority of voices on this station about the Sixers. I think that I'm speaking for the average fan in that regard, where people are like, you're telling me you're going to get another broken down old guy? And you know what Daryl Morey's going to do? He's going to go shopping for more end of their career old guys, because that's what he does. What do we need to see? What more do we need to see? People don't believe in Daryl Morey's vision. And I got to tell you, if you're telling me, I don't.
I don't know if people don't believe his vision, because every time.
Well, they're telling you they don't with this Paul George
The Sixers
stuff.
win the offseason every single year, right? A lot of times the Sixers win the offseason.
I don't think with their fan base they do.
I think people were fired up for this team last year because they liked Marcus Morris and they liked Patrick Beverley and all these guys. And then obviously the Sixers get to the playoffs and people were fired up for the Sixers team.
They were.
Like they were supposed to beat the Knicks and they didn't. I don't know, man. I mean, you're right. I think you are speaking for them. I'm sure you're surprised that I don't want Paul George.
No, I'm not. I do, no, because of other things I've heard you say.
Okay.
I think you are much more, as you said earlier, if you could get LeBron for 4 years.
In a heartbeat.
So to me, you've put your energy into, Bronny for Bron.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Where you're
Draft him first overall. Trade up.
And I think one thing I've learned, Connor, is like in the couple months we've been working together, is that when Andrew's headspace is involved in something, it doesn't usually get split up into 2 or 3 agendas.
No.
It's one.
It's one.
And it's Bronny for Bron.
Damn right.
You won. And I can tell you right now, if you told me a 4-year contract is required for LeBron,
doing it.
And because I do believe you'd be playing tonight. Like, I mean, we would have been playing last night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so to me, I'll go in on that with you. I will buy into that. I will drink the Kool-Aid that you are stirring.
Welcome.
But not drafting the incompetent little
nepotism, baby.
Hey,
let's do it.
No,
bring me nepotism.
Not doing that nonsense.
Here's the thing, though. Morey should absolutely ignore the fan base on this.
Why?
Because it's totally different than the Harper Machado thing. Those were 2 very, very equal options when you looked at the potential to help this franchise.
Fair.
Great ascending players.
Ascending.
Yes.
Young, ascending, healthy.
But it's not just that. You had to pick between 2 guys, and either one could be argued as the right option. There is not a clear alternative to Paul George right now. There's just not.
He's 34, man.
Derek sends a DM in. He goes, I trust the guy giving out the discounted Morey's Pier.
Wow.
Things. He goes, I would rather have Mr. Morey from Morey's Pier.
Let me tell you about the Fanatic Deal of the Week.
Making the decisions. By the way, he picked up 2 yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
He picked up 2 yesterday. He'd rather have Mr. Morey from Morey's Pier making the decisions for the Sixers' future roster than Daryl Morey.
That's horrible.
That's pretty funny.
What isn't horrible?
Made me laugh.
What isn't horrible is for a limited time only, get a same-day ride and water park ticket to Morey's Piers for just $70. That's a saving of $50 per ticket for unlimited rides on 3 piers and both water parks for a whole day. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals.
That man. Is there a Mr. Morey?
There might be.
I mean,
it's got to be named after someone.
I don't know how old the pier is.
I do. I was from my childhood.
Right, so I don't know if Mr. Morey is still with us.
There used to be Hunt's Pier.
Oh, okay.
And then Hunt's Pier, I think, got swallowed up by Morey's. But Mr. Morey, he'd trust him.
He won the Game of Thrones of piers, man. All right, coming up next, we continue this conversation. I want to hear more from those of you who want or don't want Paul George. If you heard the news, Paul George signs a max contract to the Philadelphia 76ers, your reaction would be what? 610-632-0975. Also, I have a question. I promise it's not a wet blanket question, but it's about the Phillies. And it's about sustainability, okay? I think it's a fair question to ask. Big boy pants. And this is coming from a guy who says they're winning the division in over 100 games at this point. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Kincade and Salciunas. Coming up at 8 o'clock, we'll be joined by the great Adam Schefter as he joins us every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And, of course, he'll be followed by today's headlines with Connor Thomas. But Schefty coming your way at 8 o'clock. OTAs begin today for the Eagles. I'll have a question coming up later this hour about the storyline. We talk about the storylines that we're excited for, like that we'll be getting them. What is something that you'll be paying attention to most coming out of the media? Like, what are you hoping to see come out of the media? So think about that. We'll get to that at some point this hour before we speak with Schefty. But I have a question about the Phillies and sustainability.
I didn't know you were so worried about our environment. Doesn't sound like you.
Well, actually, I am. I
didn't know you were.
I don't get the sheets of paper every single day like you do.
You don't.
Mr. Tree Killer.
You don't.
All right. I just have it's a total question. Again, I think they win 100 games. At this point, they're on pace for it.
Go out on a limb, would you?
100 games.
Okay.
You can't. You killed all the trees already.
They win the division. I said that the second Spencer Strider went down. I jumped on your bandwagon.
Yeah, if you could have had the guts to say it before the season, but it's all right.
Strider was a big deal for me. Connor has used the term juggernaut. I completely agree with you.
And an opposing Major League general manager last night, in a text conversation, told me that Connor was juggernaut. So
that's great.
We get many people on our YouTube, even across opposing lines. Sometimes they're monitoring this show to find out what could Dave Dombrowski be doing.
Kid knows ball, baby. Kid knows ball.
Kid knows ball. Anyways, and you're very athletic.
It's true.
He looks like he played.
He played some ball.
This general manager,
best compliment of all time.
This general manager once said after meeting Connor Thomas, it looks like he played some ball.
That went right to his head.
I've got it tattooed on my left cheek.
That went right to his head.
Yeah, he grew the mullet back after that.
So I have a question about sustainability. We already know that at some point, and hopefully it never happens, at some point the pitching will come back down to earth.
Like a bump in the road.
At some point. Like
a bump in the road.
Unless Ranger Suarez just becomes the greatest starting pitcher in a single season of all time. That's not like his ERA is 1.36 through 10 starts right now. Like, it's outrageous.
That is outrageous.
It's outrageous. But I look more at the offense. So last night, you had 8 hits, and I've mentioned this a couple of times. 2 for Schwarber, 2 for Realmuto, 2 for Harper, 2 for Bohm. 0 the rest of the way. Everybody else in the order. Bryson Stott, Nick Castellanos, Cody Clemens, Brandon Marsh, and Johan Rojas. And Marsh was the only guy that got on base via the walk. All those other guys that I mentioned didn't even get on base via the walk, right? You mentioned the batting averages for some of the guys on this team.
It's ridiculously bad.
It really is
ridiculously bad.
It really is crazy. It's dropping for some of these guys. Castellanos is down to 202. Marsh is down to 252.
And this is one of those things that I say it doesn't matter until it matters.
Right. So I'll ask you.
And when you're playing better teams, it'll matter.
Is this sustainable? And look, Harper's going to go down at some point and fire back up. And when he goes down, somebody else will step up. Like, you know that's going to happen. There's the ebbs and flows to a Major League Baseball season. But is this sustainable? I'll ask you guys. Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean.
Absolutely.
Okay.
700 ball isn't.
Right.
But sustainable as far as this team finding alternate heroes all the time and this team being bailed out by great pitching when the offense isn't as good. Yeah, that's sustainable. It looks completely sustainable to me.
Okay. I only ask because Castellanos down to 202 with his batting average. Johan Rojas, he had the great stretch. He's now down to 226. I'm not picking on Rojas. I'm just putting.
Sounds like you are. How's your island?
Castellanos reportedly said,
player.
"I'm still double Stubbs."
Right.
So nobody should be even looking
now,
at me.
Stubbs isn't even in the starting lineup, so I'm not really worried about Garrett Stubbs.
I wonder why.
You have the best catcher in baseball.
I mean, seriously.
But, is this sustainable? And I think so because, like you said, every single night there's a different hero.
And they're not.
And Schwarber's going to get fire. He's going to catch fire in the month of June. We already know that's happening.
I like hearing that.
I just think it's a fair question to ask.
I wonder. I wonder if anybody thinks it isn't. And obviously they'll use the text line and get in touch with us if they do. I don't know why anybody would think it isn't sustainable.
Well, there's parts of it that are.
Not 700 baseball, but I say the other parts, if we talk about individual components of this team, I don't think there's anything that we shouldn't say is sustainable.
Well, yeah. I hate to do this on a day like today, right? Because we're supposed to celebrate.
Yes,
okay.
And we are celebrating.
But Ranger Suarez is not sustainable. Like, he's not going to do this forever. Like,
you don't know that, Connor.
He's just not. The offense winning at this clip by scoring like 4 or 5 runs is not always going to be sustainable.
If I said to you, Ranger today, 270 ERA.
I was going to say like 220.
No, 270 ERA for the year. Are you going over under?
Under.
I'm going under also.
Yeah, under. I was going to say like 220.
To me, that would tell you that
I don't think it's going to be
that would be a full point.
I don't think it's going to be 1.36.
No, but I think that is
it is right now.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be pretty wild if you can keep it in that. You'll be among the top pitchers in the game.
He has dropped his
double it.
He's dropped his ERA in his 4 straight starts now. Giants 1.72 down to 1.50 to down to 1.37 down to 1.36. He just keeps on dropping that ERA. It's incredible. I don't know. It's just something that I wanted to talk about.
I got you.
Big boy pants. We're allowed to have these kinds of conversations, even though we might all be in agreement and say, yes, it is sustainable.
Can I ask you one question that's sort of off topic quickly?
What's that?
I had a temporary crown put on yesterday.
Okay.
And Dr. Bachstein listens to the show, so we appreciate him listening. My
What's
dentist.
up, Doc?
They put a temporary crown on it, and then next Wednesday I'll get the permanent one.
Okay.
It broke off last night.
Okay.
And I wasn't even eating anything bad. I was having a soft flour quesadilla, and it came off. Do I have to put it back on? Do I have to go to his office and put it back on? It's a tooth with a that's a dead tooth, I guess, because it's just a post waiting to have a crown put on it. It doesn't hurt.
So I'll say this. Believe it or not, my grades were not good enough to become a dentist.
I'm not shocked, but then again,
my grades were good enough to get into sports talk radio.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to answer that question.
Because you think you're going to give me the wrong answer?
Yeah.
I think it's a
dead call doctor.
It's
Dr.
a dead
Box.
Dr. Boxstein's listening. I'm sure he's probably listening this morning. Yesterday he heard that A.J. Brown
cheated.
Rode the electric bike cheated.
Yeah.
In the charity event. So he heard it there. So I don't think I have to go back.
I would go back.
Yeah,
you would? Really?
I would.
Yeah, dude, go talk to a dentist. We're two idiots on the radio.
Yeah, call the medical professional, not us C's get degrees
thank you for your consultation.
All right, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you owe me a lot of money now. It was not a free consultation.
Or the doctor can text in.
The doctor can text in. You can text in the show at 610-632-0975. Speaking of which, we have a positive Paul George text on the text line.
Did Paul George get up this early?
Well, we've had a lot of people chime in saying no, they don't want Paul George, but apparently we have a positive Paul George text. If we said today Paul George signed a max contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, your reaction would be what?
Mike from Northeast Philly checks in and says, I'd be happy if the Sixers signed Paul George. Fans need to understand he'd be asked to be a third option. Even at his age, he's a much better option than Tobias Harris, and on a bad night, he can get you 12 to 20 points. Sign him. Bring in Drummond, run it back.
We needed, I heard over and over again that Tobias Harris needed to provide 20 points a night. I don't believe you're going to get that out of Paul George.
But I would put money down on him to score 20 points. I never put Tobias Harris money down to score 20 points.
Oh, I feel that he's a better player than Tobias Harris.
Yes.
But if we're setting if someone's going to say to me, sign Paul George because he's better than Tobias Harris, there are probably 60 to 70 options across of combinations of players and money and everything that could be done that would be better than Tobias Harris.
I don't know if that's accurate, and this is coming from a guy who's very anti-Tobias Harris.
No, I'm saying, remember, I'm going combinations of ways to spend that money.
Okay.
I do believe that there are.
I think right now, like the one thing I can guarantee you we realize at some point this coming Sixers season, I don't know what they'll win or what their record will be or their seeding. We are going to stop partway through this next Sixers season and be like, holy crap, Tobias Harris really hurt this team that much.
So you do believe we'll have that moment?
Yeah.
I believe so as well. Like the first round of the playoffs of the 2024-25 NBA season,
okay,
I expect a third player to step up and it not be 38-year-old Kyle Lowry or Nico Batum because he caught fire from three. No, it's one of your top 3 players. And if it's a night where Embiid and Maxey need a little help, I expect that third player. Ignore the contract. No, I expect the third highest paid player or the guy that you are saying, hey, when these two guys are hurt or when these two guys are having an off night, you are the guy that we're going to turn to. I expect that person to step up and have a nice night.
Christian says he's already perusing the oldest free agents available, and I guarantee you we'll be able to find 2 of those names that join the Sixers. Stop. I believe it.
By the way,
because it's his formula.
Paul George's scoring totals they lost in the first round, obviously to Dallas. 22-22, dropped to 7.
7 in a playoff game.
Well, I mean that happens.
You score 7, you win.
Whoa.
You win game 6 if you score 7.
Not a ton of third options get you 7 points.
Right. Not a ton of third options get you 0.
Michael Porter Jr. barely did anything.
I am not going to play the game of saying, well, Tobias Harris, it's not. No, that is not a good third option, 7 points. That's bad. Okay, go on.
What are the other
games?
It was a
what
bad
are the other
option.
games?
The next game he scored 33.
Okay, then what did he score?
Then it was 15 and 18.
15 and 18, which is in.
As the third option. That's more than what Tobias Harris did.
I'm not using Tobias Harris
as
a. No, you don't, because Tobias Harris is not the marker of whether this team can compete.
John, he has been for 5 years.
No.
We don't know how good this team can be with a guy who doesn't have his head up his ass come postseason.
Yes. It is not the borderline of whether you can decide whether a team can compete for a title using Tobias. He's better than Tobias. That's ridiculous.
I know it is ridiculous. That's why he shouldn't have gotten the contract, and you've been dealing with it for 5 years.
And you're paying your third guy to score around 15 to 18 points.
Nobody's relitigating the bad contract. If your standard is, well, he's better than Tobias for signing somebody, that's stupid.
That's a pretty good standard to start at.
Capital S.
I'll be honest. That's a pretty good standard to start at. I need guys that can
Everybody should be that.
Daryl Morey himself said we need a forward or a wing player that can play well in the playoffs. That was a direct shot at Tobias Harris.
And Daryl Morey never moved Tobias Harris. And he was here for.
Who wanted him?
Get out of here.
Who wanted Tobias Harris?
He couldn't find a way to move him at all.
Who wanted him?
No.
Please.
All right, we'll continue that conversation because I think you're crazy. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Also coming up next, back to the warm and fuzzies. We have a montage from last night's Phillies win. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
For Philadelphia sports fans, there's always something to talk about, and this week is no exception. The Fightin' Phils have a big week.
Daryl Morey for the Tobias Harris thing, Johnny.
I'm still laughing at the I trust the guy from Morey's Pier. I'm that line has won me over this morning.
I just don't know how he would have got. They do trade out of expiring contracts all the time. If they got out of his contract, I'm pretty sure they would have lost that max slot unless they would have traded for another max player.
Okay, you made the point then that is the point that absolutely plays in your favor there.
And then 2 years
ago, was not done.
2 years ago, I don't know who wanted Tobias Harris 2 years ago. Like when he had 2 seasons left under his deal, I don't think anybody wanted him, dude.
I would tell you that not one, not a couple, every major analyst in the NBA said Sixers keep Tobias Harris into his year and a half left on the contract. They will find somebody willing to assume that contract. Every from Woj to Shams to everybody, it becomes much more attractive when he's just got a year or a little more than a year left. And I heard every one of them say it.
But you would have had to have found the right partner to make the trade with to try to get something.
What do you do all day? When you're as Bob Cooney says.
He goes to Crumble Cookie.
He tweets.
He goes to the Crumble Cookie Factory, man.
I know Daryl and his lovely wife watch General Hospital, so they're into that. That's good. And I appreciate they're part of the Port Charles family. But the idea of when Bob will always say, the general manager's job is during the offseason, and then it's just little tweaks, little here of everything. That's when they make their bones. So that's all you have to do. All your focus is to find any possible option. I can understand what you point out. I can absolutely understand.
I just don't know how movable Tobias Harris was. And look, he can't hurt us anymore. He's gone.
I will tell you that if we just relied on listeners, they would tell us 5 to 10 contracts that were moved that were much more, where a player was much worse than Tobias Harris statistically.
Okay.
That somebody was willing to do it. But, as I said, I understand your
Pistons,
point of view.
apparently the Pistons were in on Tobias Harris this year. You would have Bogdan Bogdanović goes to the Knicks, right? There was a potential trade where Tobias was going to Detroit for Bogdanović and Alec Burks. Would that have been
Yes.
Well,
what? Yes.
You're getting 2 bench pieces for one of your starters.
No, yes. No, because you're everybody in this city would stand in unison and say, this guy is not going to help us when it matters. Mm-hmm. This guy is so absolutely.
Okay.
No question.
And I wanted Bogdanović.
I know you did.
I just didn't think it was going to take that big of a player.
Anybody that's got the Avich.
No, come on, man.
Jay's
a Euro.
Any Euro, you definitely align yourself
Don't be a namist. Come on, man.
You do.
Listen, man, you're a Euro guy.
Look, you are.
Just
You're
accept it.
Sign Jonas Valanciunas, and we're going to the championship next year. You can count on that. All right, Brendan Gunn, our associate producer, did fine work this morning for last night's incredible Phillies win. Another great win for the Phillies. They are 1 win away. If they win tonight, they will set a franchise record for most wins come through 50 games with 36. So they got to take care of business tonight. But they won again last night. Here are some of the sounds.
Left-hander Ranger Suarez. Suarez comes in 8-0 with an ERA of 1.37.
Just great stuff and a great start to the year, and hopefully he can continue to do what he's been doing.
Swing and a miss. Got him with the slider. First strikeout of the night, 59 on the season for Ranger. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, back-to-back Ks.
And one of the difficulties that you have against a guy like Suarez is that he can pretty much throw any pitch at any time and command all of them.
Swing and a miss. 3 strikeouts for Ranger. Swing and a miss. That changeup, which is so good. Swing and a miss. Ranger just struck out the side. 5 Ks through 2 innings for the Phillies left-hander. Check swing, there you go. Yes, he did. That's 6 strikeouts for Suarez. That's a big one. Hit sharply into right field, a base hit. Here comes Marsh. And Schwarber's going to get an RBI single as brother Marsh crosses the plate to tie this game at 1. Well, now the best RBI guy for the Phillies, the guy with the best numbers with runners in scoring position, will face a pitcher that has held the opposition to a 152 batting average with runners in scoring position. A little squiver out to right center. That'll drop for a hit. Here comes Harper. And Cole wins the battle. And a strike 3 call. That was pretty clean right right there. 7 strikeouts for Ranger. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. He's dialed it again.
Oh, great.
Strike 3 called right on the inside corner. That's 8 strikeouts for Suarez. Chase rate for Rangers, the highest of his career. A little more than 33%. No matter there. Strike 3 called, number 9. Out to center. That's well hit. Tavares going back to the wall. Gone! Solo home run. The Phillies are on top 3-1 thanks to Bryce Harper.
Had to be the promposal, Tom.
Had to be the promposal. What a sweet swing.
Yeah.
Strike 3 called. He ties his career high in strikeouts with 10. 108 pitches for Ranger Suarez. Runners lead off. The count is 0-2. Strom set. Opposite way. Here comes Marsh, and Brother Marsh makes the catch. And Strom leaves the inherited runners right where they were. There's the line drive. Base hit it to left center field. Schwarber to third. They're going to wave him. JT is right on his heels. RBI for Bohm.
It is uncanny what Alec Bohm does with runners in scoring position. It is amazing.
Line drive out to left center field. It's a sac fly, and the Phils lead it 5-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The birthday boy is set to go. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. He went fishing in the dirt, and the ball game is over. And the Phillies win it by a final score of 5-2. And Ranger Suarez becomes the first Phillies pitcher since Grover Cleveland Alexander to begin a season 9-0.
That is great.
That was outstanding.
Great job, Brendan Gunn. Great song choice in the background, of course.
And if you missed it, you missed it. Did not make the montage. But Ruben Amaro Jr. last night saying on the broadcast, I'd like to rub my body all over Ranger Suarez to get some of that good luck he's got going on.
He may have enjoyed the game more than anybody else.
I think that maybe there were some mojitos or something going on, but it was a very entertaining broadcast.
Well, no, he posted a photo the other day.
It was his martini.
The martini sweep.
The sweep
martini. So maybe he had one during the broadcast yesterday. I don't know.
I'd like to rub my body all over Ranger Suarez. That was an interesting commentary last night.
Ranger Suarez has stolen the hearts of a lot of people in Philadelphia, mine included.
See, you don't get that from Kruk. When it's a Kruk game, you don't get to rub your body all over a player. Rube having some fun last night.
Absolutely. All right, coming your way next. Great job, Brendan Gunn, with that montage. Coming up next, Adam Schefter joins us. He joins us every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock. OTAs begin today for the Eagles, so there's plenty of storylines for the Birds, plenty of storylines across the NFL. We talk about it all with the greatest NFL insider there is. That, of course, the great Adam Schefter. He joins us next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. And it's a Wednesday morning, which means one thing. Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, we're always joined by an incredible ESPN NFL insider. Brought to us by Landis Block. Create your own very jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com. Of course, he joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Comcast Business gets you ready for what's next. That, of course, the great Adam Schefter. Shefty, I just want to let you know, John Kincaid's W's and L's, he finished with a 12-5 record for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Now, I didn't do it as he tricked me into it. Like, I mean, I've got to be honest.
How's that?
Well,
How's that?
He asked me a series of questions over the course of 4 hours.
Yeah, I set little traps throughout the show,
and I fell into them like a stupid fool. And but I did come up 12-5. So very much like you said.
That's the only way to do a one-loss record is to be tricked and trapped into it.
Exactly.
And piece it together, right? But I will say, like, if I looked at the Eagles right now, 12-5 would be about the record that I would pick for them off the top of my head for whatever that's worth, because I do believe in that team this year. But, again, you went through the exercise in futility, but you did it in a very subtle, backhanded kind of way, which I can't object to overly.
Yeah, we did not do the lazy approach of win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. Trust me, I can't do that. Out of respect of John Kincade, who doesn't want to do that.
But he wants to do Mount Rushmores all summer long.
That's tomorrow's show. Just wait. Memorial Day weekend, of course we got that. Now, Shefty, I'm curious. You said last week that without even looking at the schedule, you would pin the Eagles as a team that won around 12 games, if not more.
Yeah.
And I would like to know what makes you so confident about that without even looking at the schedule. Is it mainly talent? Is it the coaches that they acquired during the offseason in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio? What makes Adam Schefter feel that confident that the Eagles can have that kind of win total during the regular season?
I think it's all those things. I also think who in that division is going to knock them off that perch. Who in that division truly represents a threat to them? Who in that division would you look at today and say you fear that team? There's not a team in that division right now that you're concerned about right now. Now, that doesn't mean that the season couldn't start in Dallas, couldn't get rolling, Jaden Daniels couldn't turn into Lamar Jackson 2.0. I got it. Any one of those things could happen. That's just always makes the football season so intriguing and so interesting, is that there are developments that we did not anticipate in any way, shape, or form. But going in, I like the Eagles' talent. I like the Eagles' coaching staff. I like that in their division, there's nobody else that really scares me. It's all those things together. And when you put them all together, for whatever that's worth on May 22nd, then, yeah, to me, 12-5 is plausible. Doesn't mean they get there. Doesn't mean they have the great year, but they go in with you feeling pretty good about their chances of having that kind of season.
Years and years of going to NFL training camps and broadcasting from them. I was always amazed, Adam, how the veteran players never wanted to gush too much about rookies. And in the past few years here in Philadelphia, we've seen the veterans gush on Jordan Davis and then last year Jalen Carter. To me, I look at it this year and I'm waiting to hear who the veterans gush about of this youngster class, because I do think that's special when veteran players are willing to praise kids who just arrived.
Well, yeah, they usually have to win their respect, right, and earn it over time. And if you're getting that early on, that's certainly an encouraging sign, without question. But, I mean, these guys, they can tell who can play usually right away. Like, you could just see it. The guy's got it or he hasn't got it. And it doesn't take these guys very long to recognize that, in my mind.
Speaking of Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline, Shefty, something that I'm curious to get your input on. So the schedule comes out, and we knew that the Eagles were going to be playing abroad. We knew that they were going to be playing in Brazil.
Yeah.
And there's the immediate response of, Jeffrey Lurie just did this to line his pockets, right? He wants to make more money. So I'm asking, do they think about the implications going to Brazil, losing a home game when they could be, look, in this case, they're playing the Packers, which is a big NFC matchup, and you leave your home field for that. Does that go into the thought process at all with these owners?
Oh, yeah, it goes in there, of course. But I don't know that he's lining his pockets with money by going to Brazil. I don't know the financial arrangements of how these games initially work out. I think, though, that it is safe to say that there's a larger picture involved here. And I believe that all these NFL teams are trying to grow fan bases overseas somewhere, in another country somewhere. And, look, I don't know how much more popular the NFL could get in the United States. How much more popular could the Eagles get in Philadelphia? But there is room for growth and improvement in Brazil or wherever they play. And all these teams have been assigned markets. And I think the Eagles were assigned Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. Or the Packers were assigned. Whoever it was. Somebody was. And it's the job of those teams to kind of grow their fan base and support in those markets over the long term. So, again, I don't know that going to Brazil is a money-making proposition right now, but I do believe there's a larger picture involved here, and that's that the NFL is doing whatever it can to grow its sport in other areas where soccer might be more popular, or where cricket might be more popular, or rugby, or whatever, right? The league wants a bite of all the revenue across the world. It's trying to conquer the world right now.
Well, if they want the revenue, then it is about the money, as an owner. And more importantly, it's been now 10 seasons where I haven't seen the Dallas Cowboys go international, and I'm now seeing the Eagles do it again. I want to know what the formula is here. Why should one franchise be going multiple times when another franchise hasn't gone in 10 years? And I do think if it comes down to it, I'm telling you this, if the NFC title game is in Green Bay because the Eagles gave up a home game or something like that, and it ends up costing them, I will lose my mind.
Okay, well, try
I mean, it's ridiculous. The Cowboys are playing the Lions at home. They get to play that game against that division at home against the Lions. The Eagles' biggest game on their home schedule has been taken to a neutral site in a foreign country.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. That makes no sense.
Yeah, and they do lose the home field advantage.
Yes.
I understand. But you know what, John? What I would say is if your forecasting, scheduling skills are correct, and the team is going 12-5, I don't think you'll have too much to worry about anymore.
All right, good.
Any surprise that Devontae Parker announced his retirement this week?
I spoke to him the other night, and, we spoke for about 5, 6, 7 minutes, and he made a reference to mental health also. It was important to get his mental health right, which I thought was interesting. And I just think it's not easy to play the sport at the level these guys do for as long as they do. 9 years he played. He's bounced around the last couple of years. He's got 4 kids. I don't know. Nobody has. There's no way, no easy way to make a living. And I just think, sometimes that's hard. And it sounded like to me like he just needed a break. Just needed to take care of some things. And so you certainly wish him the best. And I don't think the Eagles are overly surprised or crushed by that. It's not like they were counting on Devontae Parker saving their season. It would have been nice if you have a player of his abilities who steps in, but you don't, and you go on. Never had him. So, that's the way it kind of goes there.
You have a very discerning ear for knowing what's news and what isn't. So if you're a fan that is excited about Eagles OTAs this week, what should they be looking to hear come out of OTAs that is actually probably something of value and worthwhile and worth getting excited about, and maybe something that they should just sort of disregard if you have one of those?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything in particular that, the first thing I always start with is you just don't want anyone to get hurt, right? Even though it's OTAs. You just don't want anything to happen like that. As long as nothing happens like that, win. But I'm sure we're going to hear, this rookie looked great. Okay, well, what does that mean in OTAs? 7-and-7 drills. So there's nothing that I'm going to get overly concerned about or excited about. It doesn't mean much to me. I just, if you're an Eagles fan, you just want this team together, a lot of new faces, no Jason Kelsey, want them growing together, trying to experience, the new systems, offensive and defense systems, and I think that's primarily what you're looking for right now.
It seems like everybody on the Eagles will be reporting to OTAs because Howie Roseman has it.
That's the other thing, is that they've addressed these issues.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know that there's anybody skipping OTAs because they want a new deal. I mean, there might be somebody that I'm unaware, but Hassan Reddick's been traded. Lander Dickerson signed. Jordan Mailata signed. Devontae Smith signed. A.J. Brown signed. Who wants a new deal that didn't get one?
Right.
I mean, everybody wants a new deal.
Yeah, so you got everybody going, which is great. Now I'll ask you this. What's the storyline you're paying attention to the most in the NFL? And I imagine Justin Jefferson is one of those names?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are a few different wide receiver situations that are interesting, right? Justin Jefferson wants a deal, not there. Brandon Ayuk wants a new deal, not at the 49ers OTAs. T. Higgins wants a new deal, can't be there because he is the last remaining franchise player who has not signed his tender, and unless you sign your franchise tender, you can't go. You can't go. And I don't think that, barring something unexpected, I don't think, the Bengals will see T. Higgins till later this summer, mid to late August at some point in time for him not to miss a paycheck. Again, the Eagles don't have any of those issues. They've addressed them all. So none of that hangs over them. They've been proactive. So, they've done what they're supposed to do to this point to set up their team to be ready for OTAs while there are other players and other teams that have lingering issues like this right now.
How impressive is that? From all the years you've covered the NFL, seeing a team go into a camp with what seems like no drama, especially after how the season unfolded last year. Like it feels like it's a drama-free start to camp for the Eagles.
Well, it's just a continuation of the way that, to me, they do things. They're proactive. They try to get ahead of things. You can't get ahead of everything, and I'm surprised more teams don't try to operate that way. But that's how it is. Like, by the way, again, we mentioned all those deals for the Eagles. Am I missing something? Do we remember the last Dallas Cowboy that got a long-term deal done this offseason? That a guy they wanted to keep that they cemented in place? I don't remember that happening.
No. I want team turmoil, and everybody's on a one-year contract. So that's perfect.
Yeah. Well, you got some of that going right now. Now, again, there's plenty of time to address it. I got it. But a little weird, right? Like, none of that is going on in Dallas right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. Schefter, listen, man, we appreciate it as always. Thank you so much for coming on. Enjoy. Hopefully you get a long weekend coming up, and then we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
And the Knicks lost.
Well, that's okay. Enjoy the Mount Rushmore of Memorial Day holiday.
Oh, damn right. Your favorite smells. John Kincade coming near you. Schefter, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
See ya.
Have a great weekend, guys.
There he is, Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business, a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. And brought to us by Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com.
It pissed me off that Adam is a Knicks fan, roots for the Knicks. So I enjoyed being able to just
yeah. He could easily say, yeah.
Yeah.
How'd your team do?
By the way, did you see the Knicks fans cheering
the Knicks in 8
after they lost?
It's weird.
It's just
they're a weird
society
fan base.
soft.
They're a weird fan base.
That's really weird.
We respect them for traveling the way we do. New York
do we respect them though?
No, we're embarrassed by
I hate
them.
New York. I respect them as a fan base because they're very much like us. That I don't respect. The cheering after a loss is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Like I ripped. Remember the Eagles fans that went out on Broad Street after they lost the Super Bowl?
Also,
it was
dumb.
terrible.
That was so stupid.
That was awful.
What are you doing going on Broad Street after losing the Super Bowl?
Absolutely atrocious.
That was dumb.
No, it was atrocious.
So
that was embarrassing.
I don't respect the Knicks fans for doing that, and I don't respect the hundreds of drunk younger people probably that did that after the Eagles lost the Super Bowl 2 years ago. All right, that was Adam Schefter. He always pushes Connor Thomas. I feel bad for Connor, but it's 8:15 on a Wednesday. That means it's time for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Hi, Connor.
Hey, don't feel bad for me. I can get a lot done in 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and jump
I've heard
into
that.
Oh, stop talking to people. All right, last night we had ourselves a heck of a baseball game.
By the way, if you check out Blue Chew, it'll last longer than 5 minutes.
Appreciate that.
Enter promo code Fanatic. Just pay the $5 for shipping.
Good work there.
I got 5 for him right here.
That may be a little bit embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as what happened to an umpire who was on the staff for the Phillies-Rangers game last night. Alan Porter was caught on a hot mic explaining about a home run review during the game, and take a listen to what was caught on the broadcast.
See, that was one where we all thought it was gone.
Yeah,
but we're like, it's just a critique review, and we're just going to go because we're not going to flip it and then look stupid if it didn't leave.
He's talking to Bruce Bochy, right?
He's talking to the third base coach of the Rangers.
Oh, it was the third base coach.
I think
Okay.
is what was said. And Tom McCarthy called him a potty mouth on Twitter, which is a fair assessment considering.
But so here's the deal. They didn't want to reverse the call because they didn't want to look stupid. How
Right.
often does that happen in sports?
Well, the thing is, though, in that regard, they did the right thing.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Don't call home run and then potentially have to take home run back.
Yeah,
Right.
take the time, go review.
Take the time and do it. And by the way, keep your freaking food away from the railing.
Yeah, nachos on the field,
By
baby.
the way, it's just stupid. That's just
Now,
bad.
no, I can't blame him because the nachos saved the little girl that was trying to make a play. Listen.
Yeah, but do the nachos, that's a $20 nacho.
Yeah, that girl. Your child's worth more than the $20 nachos.
That's not your foul ball.
I don't think she was catching that homer.
That's a
Or your home
that's
run.
a good one.
That's not your home run ball.
That's a good one. That's a dad right
That
there.
should have been the home run. That should have been the back page of the Daily News.
That's a respectful dad joke right there, ladies and
Nacho
gentlemen.
home run ball.
Good, clean humor here on Kincade Salciunas. Well, pardon Alan Porter's French, but we also had a little bit of French on these airwaves on 97.5 The Fanatic.
What?
yesterday.
What?
Did you guys
What?
hear that? Not
No.
that kind of
Bob
French.
Cooney cursing again?
No, actual French.
Oh, I thought, okay, damn. I was more excited for the curse. Go on.
Take a listen.
Je ne sais quoi.
She does add some class to this
Right?
show, doesn't she?
Wow.
And confuses me.
Je ne sais quoi.
All right, earlier
Still
we
trying
were figure out what the French
Je ne sais
words
quoi.
mean.
Wait.
Poor Ray. You said it and his head popped up like, uh-oh, don't come to me on this.
Wait,
I'm just going to keep my mic down over here.
He claims he never heard the term je ne sais quoi.
That was our midday show. Bob Cooney, Amy
Yes.
Fadul joining him. Ray Dunn, who has no idea any French word in the dictionary.
Really? Je ne sais quoi is not, you don't have to have taken French to know what that means.
Yeah, it's like menage a trois. Like,
No, it's not like
a
menage a
little
trois.
different. No, but I'm saying people know things even though they don't know the language.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for je ne sais quoi, if you don't know what it is.
Oh, there you
it's-
go. Professor Thomas over
Well,
here.
You want to tell me?
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Menage a Trois in there? Basically, it's the property of some. I don't know how to vocalize what it is, but it's just kind of a feel
It has-
about something.
It has a aura about it, would be how
Exactly.
I would describe it.
Yes.
Is Connor has a certain je ne sais quoi about him as a single man in Philadelphia.
A somewhat undescribable
Good
aura.
wingman there.
Yeah, is kind of the idea. So if Ray Dunn's up early and listening, there you go, buddy. And
by the way, he graduated from Temple. Ray, come on.
Also,
and he's
Andrew,
from Klein.
you were with him for how long in these airwaves? You didn't teach the guy any French?
Lithuanian.
Fair
Did
point.
you teach him anything Lithuanian?
No.
Exactly. The guy can't comprehend basic French.
Listen, we didn't get here by
there's no
brain
such thing
power.
as basic other language. If that's
Yes,
not
there
the
is.
no,
Yes,
if that's
yes, there is.
okay.
Si, senor.
Hola.
Yes.
Like, no, I get it.
There is. Basic language is terms that are used. Si, senor. Yes,
Oui,
there
oui,
are.
I would like a cigarette.
That's
That's French, dude. It's
terrible.
easy.
No, that's not it.
Let's move on before I get myself in
That
trouble.
was horrible.
That's a bad. That's a bad French accent.
Victor Wembanyama.
All right, dude.
All right.
That's terrible.
Is
too.
this segment over yet?
That's like
almost,
the
Jesus.
server. That's like the server at Chi-Chi's
You gave me
coming
too much
over
room to
saying
work.
something in French.
All right, let's go with the replay from a question you guys asked earlier
Thank
on.
God. Is this one of the most beloved teams of your lifetime? And if it is, explain why.
Talking about this year's Phillies team, and it's a fair question. Here's what I'll say. Like, I'm not there yet as far as most beloved team. They're not the 2022 Eagles. They're not the 2018 Eagles. They're not like the 2008 Phillies. There is a level. You can enjoy this and believe they're great talent-wise, but there's a level to loving a team that I think has to be born out of true success.
Okay. Now, they've had success. This is the third straight year.
But
of
it's not the same
success.
team.
I got.
I can't count that.
Very similar.
Right.
Like the names.
You've had a chance to fall in love with this team
multiple times
over a slow burn.
Yeah. This era may be
but I think
when we look back at it. But
this is
that's why I say team, and I did say 2022 and 23. Like a lot of these guys have been
it's
here.
pretty much the same team.
And I get
75% of the roster's the same.
But I know there's going to be people, if they don't win it all, that are going to be like, well, they can't be the most beloved.
I don't know, dude. People still bring up 2022. And I will forever bring up 2022. I will. Like that.
It will be forever burned.
I think about that Bryce Harper home run. I was blessed to be there, but I think about that Bryce Harper home run through the raindrops. You know, I can paint that picture closing my eyes.
And the 2008 to 2007 to 2011 Phillies, I can't say they were very lovable. That's not a lovable team.
I loved those players.
No, we loved the players for what they did, but they weren't a bunch of warm, fuzzy, lovable guys.
This group of guys are going to Xfinity Live afterward.
I mean, that Phillies crew, that era of Phillies, unlike any other great Philly team of the past, they couldn't get out of Philly fast enough when their careers were over. The vast majority of the stars.
Yeah. All right. Coming up next, we continue the conversation about the Phillies. I want some more reaction to that on the text line or the phone line, 610-632-0975. The Phillies, are they one of the most beloved teams of your lifetime? What makes them so freaking good? Because they are the best team in baseball right now. And also, Paul George, if you heard the news today, the news broke today that Paul George signed a max contract with the Sixers, your reaction would be what? You got enough for me and John over the last couple of weeks. What about yours? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies take down the champs. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by...
Kincade Salciunas on this Wednesday morning. Hope everybody's having a great, beautiful Wednesday. The weather has finally turned, which is great because all that rain that we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. It's nice to have some heat.
Oh, it's coming back.
Well,
but we're not. It's not coming back where we're going to have rain out days. So we don't have to worry about that.
I'm enjoying it right now. And Friday, Saturday are supposed to be nice for everybody that's heading down the shore.
Saturday and Sunday. They've now shifted it to Sunday. Friday is not going to be as nice.
Really? Damn it. I'm making a quick trip. I was excited. My first quick trip after a morning show.
There's not going to be rained out or anything. As I said, don't let Connor scare you there.
Well, you guys are both scared.
By the way,
you guys are both the unofficial weather people of 97.5 The Fanatic, apparently.
It's true.
I'm both obsessed with it.
We're like the Adam Josephs of the station.
I only do the severe weather. I like the hurricanes.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that the two dentists have checked in on my question earlier today.
Friday's 87 and sunny.
Yeah, dude.
There you go. But no, there's thunderstorms too.
No.
No?
No.
There's no thunderstorms.
No.
I am not listening to you and your fancy
Oh, wait a
app.
minute. Tomorrow is the thunderstorm
You and your
day.
app where you pay $5 for it.
No, tomorrow's the thunderstorm day. Tomorrow we have Phillies baseball in the afternoon, by the way.
Okay.
Two dentists have checked in with me on DM. My own dentist, Dr. Bockstein, if he's listening, the temporary cap came off, crown, and I'll get my permanent one next Wednesday. Both dentists have confirmed to me there's no reason I have to go back and get the temp put on.
Well, that's good.
We have to get 5 dentists, so we can say 4 out of 5 dentists recommend.
Yeah, because that's
the only way I know
That's
to
an
evaluate
old reference, by the way, but that's really good. But they both have said that you're not required to. There's nothing I'm going to do to hurt the tooth, so don't worry about it. It just feels weird.
Okay.
That's it. So thank you for the dentist in our audience, Michael and Alan.
I'm glad you got through this ailment. It's probably the toughest health thing you've ever gone through in your life.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, seriously. Is it like, yesterday, I think Liv was like, Dad, does it feel okay? And I'm like, yeah, honey.
I'll be all right.
Double chemo felt a hell of a lot worse.
I think you're all right.
I think I'm fine.
All right. We'd love to get some reaction on the text line and the phone line, 610-632-0975. Our questions say, questions about the Phillies. Why is this team so good? I know it's a pretty open-ended question, but tell us, why is this team so good? And is it one of the more beloved teams of your life? And I think that it's important, again, because Connor's having trouble grasping this. It's not just this season. It's not just the 50 games Phillies.
No, because
it's the Phillies team that's been here for 3 years now.
I'm grasping it.
Okay.
It's a slightly different roster, so every year does feel different.
Yeah,
and
but
also,
the core is the same.
I know. I'm saying that there are going to be people that if this team doesn't win a championship, they will put other teams above them historically.
Yeah, like the 2017-18 Eagles, the team that won the Super Bowl. Not only do we love them because they won, they're a lovable group. Remember all the touchdown celebrations? This is before Carson Wentz went cuckoo, and this is before everybody hated Carson Wentz inside the locker room and outside the locker room. Like that team, remember the Malcolm Jenkins, the electric slide every time there was great plays made by the defense? Like, I love that stuff.
They're more lovable than that 22 team. The 22 team was great.
They were great, yeah.
But that team, lovable?
I mean, I don't know. I thought there was more fun. Like the 2017-18 Eagles was a fun team.
And I think that team had more swag.
Yeah, I think so,
too. That the veterans they brought in and things like that.
Tim Jernigan had Doug Peterson wearing grills and a
dreams and nightmares. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. Like that team was totally different.
Yeah,
you had Nate Sudfeld out there dancing to dreams and nightmares.
Yeah,
like that is
that team might go down as one of the more beloved teams of all time, and it's not just because they won. It's also because they. I mean, that's obviously the biggest part of it, but
the '93 Phillies are in many ways more beloved than the 2008 Phillies who won a title.
I did that topic once a couple of years ago, and I was shocked.
And to me, it is shocking.
And I remember
that was a bad locker room of people,
right,
at the time. Many of them have changed their ways.
But John, I still remember the second the Phillies lost the World Series in 2022, a guy tweeted at me, "Now you know how it feels." The '93 Phillies, like he was like, "This is what we were trying to tell you about."
Okay,
that this is a beloved group that lost, unfortunately.
The only thing is that, honestly, when they lost that World Series, and I walked out of Kelly's on Lancaster Avenue, on Villanova's campus, the minute the pitch went and the minute Joe Carter swung, I looked away, walked out of the bar. I have never seen the home run.
I don't blame
I've literally walked. I don't know if he did cartwheels in the base paths or whatever. The thing is I got in the car that night saying, I don't believe this team next year is coming back and getting it done.
And they
the
didn't.
2022
well,
Phillies.
The league didn't either.
The 2022 Phillies, I believed it.
Yeah.
The 2022 Phillies, I believed, okay, this is just the beginning of what should be a great era, and they have delivered on that.
They have.
Despite the agony of last year, which
absolutely.
sucked, this team really is creating an era, and that is important. You got to put 3 or 4 of these in a row.
Yeah, and they're at 3 so far.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We'll see how this season plays out.
It's beautiful to watch.
The other thing that we're getting into today, and it's shame on us, we have given our opinion, but we haven't really asked for yours.
Okay.
If you heard a breaking news sounder and one of us knuckleheads say the Sixers have just signed Paul George to a max contract, your reaction would be what? We had Keith Pompey join the best show ever yesterday, and he basically said that the Sixers, they're going after him.
The guy that everyone's talking about, and, it's the Paul George thing. I mean, I think that, you go to the Sixers and you say, who can you get? Right now will be Paul George. That's the guy that they want.
That's the guy they want. Your reaction to that, phone line, text line, 610-632-0975. We'll check some texts in a second, but let's go to Ike in Southwest Philly. What's up, Ike?
What's up, y'all?
Good morning.
Great hearing from you, Ike.
Good to talk to y'all. First thing, if I hear Paul George, I'm not going to be upset. He's not my number one, but I'm not going to be upset because I'm going to be honest with you. The bigger thing is the other things they do around them. Sixers need a third person. And Andrew and Connor, I think y'all said this. We're talking about third, not somebody to come in here and steer the ship.
Right.
We need somebody to come in here and hold it down on Embiid off hours, so he off minutes, so we don't get outscored 20 minus 20.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I will say this. You don't know. It's all about fit. Because think about it. You look at it, everybody criticized Dallas for getting Kyrie. Him and Luka wouldn't be able to work.
I didn't think it would. And look at where they're at now.
And it go another one. Everybody criticized the trade for Gobert, even me. And look what's happening. Him and Cat, they making it work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I'll reserve judgment. I know we all got to have some kind of opinion when it first happened. But if you get Paul George, I need some complimentary players around him. That's the more important thing to me. The third person, the big person they get is important, but the other things they do around you, that do all the little grunt and dirty work. Because honestly, there's a lot of little sneaky players out there, like Patrick Williams from Chicago, who's athletic and can be a real good defensive person who's 6'8", 6'9". You can go after Derrick Jones Jr., who I think is a free agent again from Chester, who's playing with Dallas.
And look, and I saw it pop up again, and thanks for the call, Ike. I saw D'Anthony Melton's name pop up again. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if I want to do that again. We want to talk about health and.
Is it going to shock you?
If he got hurt, it would not.
No,
shock.
is it going to shock you if he says, "Yeah, let's do that"?
Well, if it's a team-friendly deal, then you do it. Like, look, D'Anthony Melton's not going to get that much money. At least I don't think. I don't know what the market is for D'Anthony Melton, a guy that was traded from Memphis to the Sixers and then barely played last season, couldn't stay healthy, and it was a pretty nasty injury that he was dealing with. So I don't think he's going to cost all that much. If I can get him for cheap as a bench piece, again, I want him off the bench. I never wanted him in the starting lineup. I know he was at times last year. I still think, look, let's say it is Paul George. I still believe that you need a point guard because I believe that Tyrese Maxey is a combo guard. And so you can bring in some sort of veteran point guard, or like Tyus Jones is the name that a lot of people have been tweeting in over and over and over again. You get a point guard. Maxey's your 2. Paul George is your 3. You need to figure out who your 4 is. That's still something that needs to be figured out. And then you got Embiid, and that's still a pretty decent starting 5.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's everything else. It's also the bench pieces. Because, like you said, these playoff teams are running 8 men deep.
And another thing, too. I think Ike says a really smart thing there. And it speaks to what I'm saying, too. If I hear Bob Cooney and Amy are on sometime in July, we're hearing word, Paul George is a Sixer. It's not a terrible signing. It's not like one where you should go, okay, that's freaking atrocious. But it speaks to a plan and a vision that I don't agree with. But if you think that the signing is poor for a third wheel, a third leg of the stool, I think then you'd sound dumb. It's not. It's not. It's just there are so many variables that need to go right.
Yeah, well, and
that
health,
I'm not
and health
sure.
is the biggest one.
And that's a huge one.
What do we have on the text line there, Connor?
Yeah, we have Bill from Medford checking in saying, if they say we get Paul George, I say another terrible signing for an ailing, aging former star. Another Maury obsession.
All right, so we're getting the text line has been very much anti-Paul George, except for one text so far that you've read.
It's what I say. I believe the majority, if you're talking 51% of the Sixers fan base, and I'll even push it to 61, thinks like I do. Thinks that getting another aging guy is not the way to win in today's NBA. It's just not.
Well, let's get more reaction on this coming up next. And coming up next, I'm also going to ask an Eagles question. We kind of flirted with it earlier on the show. OTAs begins today for the Eagles. I want to start talking about the storylines that we are looking for, okay? And we'll carry that into the 9 o'clock hour. Don't forget, coming up at 9:10, we do this every single week. Adam Schefter joins us at 8. We play the best 5 minutes at 9:10. A lot more in store for you. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this beautiful Wednesday morning where the Phillies are the best team in baseball. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now,
Salciunas. Want to remind the people that Around the Bases was presented to us by Michelob Ultra. When you don't compromise on the field, you shouldn't compromise it off it either. Lose the calories, not the taste. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Can't wait for that first sip of the beer down the shore this weekend, man. That's a top fiver.
The lawn work, yard work.
That's
beer.
top fiver.
Also top 5. Airport is top 5.
Airport.
I say I'm not into that one. The shower,
you're a weirdo.
the shower when we had our shore houses.
Oh, the post beach shower, outdoor shower beer.
Outdoor shower beer is a absolute
What do you
winner.
mean, nah?
You can't smell yourself when you
I don't
get
like
back
the shower getting in my beer.
You don't get it. You put it on. You put it on the little soap rack.
It's hard to protect it. I
No, it's
imagine
not.
a little bit gets in there.
You're an adult. Figure some things out, Connor.
I'm an adult. We can't control water.
You're not drinking it under the you hold it out.
Yeah, I am. I'm under the water, and I'm drinking the beer.
Yeah, I tell you, the outdoor shower. I know that Bob is a big advocate of that. Bob
Love the
Cooney.
outdoor shower.
He'll come up at 10, but he can smell himself.
Yeah.
So he knows that occasionally when you do yard work and everything, you need to shower.
I showered. I'm just saying the beer in the shower.
No, he doesn't like the beer in the shower because he doesn't want the
That's
water to get
ridiculous.
into the beer because apparently you drink it like a weirdo.
Oh my gosh.
Don't drink it under the water itself.
Well, I get cold if I step out of the water.
Well, no, that's the beauty of the outdoor shower down the shore because it's so hot
it's
out
fantastic.
outside.
Yeah.
That is one of the greatest inventions of all time.
It is. It absolutely is. Can't wait for it. I'll be going down this weekend. Looking forward to it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I want to get some more reaction from you guys on the phone line and the text line about the for the Philadelphia 76ers. If you found out today that Paul George signed a max contract, what would your reaction be? When it comes to the Phillies, is this team one of the more beloved teams of your lifetime? I want answers on that on the text line and the phone line, 610-632-0975. But I put a homework assignment during the commercial break for both of you to answer. What is something that you are looking forward to seeing coming out of OTAs? We know that it's not if somebody performs well in OTAs, that doesn't mean that they're going to perform well in the regular season. But it's the storylines. It's what people are talking about. Is there a storyline that you're expecting to get out of OTAs by the end of this week that we will be talking about?
I want to see the depth at wide receiver, that one or two of these young receivers actually potentially has some game.
Okay.
And has some veterans talking about. I'd love to hear A.J. Brown talking about what the kids are looking like. I'd like to hear the coaching staff saying what they're seeing, because I do believe this team is thin at wide receiver. And I do think they will go find a veteran 3 to come in here.
Unless they think Aeneas Smith is that guy that just steps right in.
I don't think you can pencil him in as a veteran 3 right now. I think you need another one.
Okay. And look, that's been a spot that I've been again, I know the Eagles are a very, very good roster. And
right,
offensively, I feel like I'm being selfish for wanting more. But I've been dying for a Cole Beasley, Julian Edelman type that can just get to the freaking sticks and catch the football and get a first down. I've not seen that in so long with this team. Jason Avant was the last guy that I remember that would do that. On third down, he was all reliable. Now, part of it is the Eagles have had tight ends that have been able to do it.
Right.
Zach Ertz.
That was Ertz forever.
Right. That was Ertz for a long time. It's turned into Dallas Goedert when they use him on last year. But that third receiver that you're talking about, Quez Watkins was not that. Quez Watkins was a one-trick pony. I thought he had more routes to his route tree. We found out this year that wasn't the case. It's unfortunate. They need somebody that can get to the sticks on third down.
I have one for you.
Who?
And he's on the streets.
Who?
Michael Thomas. He wasn't Rutgers, but he's got something of...
Michael Thomas...
He's got ties to this area.
Still intrigues me. It's just you want to talk about bringing in injured guys.
Yeah.
He finally stayed healthy last season.
He played 10 games last year.
Oh, my God. It was only 10? I thought he still
10.
ended up playing.
And by the way,
that's a lot for him.
And he averaged 50, I think almost 50 yards a game.
Yeah.
In the 10 that he played.
And that was with Derek Carr.
And to me, that is absolutely someone that I'd do more than take a flyer on him.
I think he's incredibly talented. He's incredibly hurt all the time.
Yo, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, Daryl Morey's on line 1. He wants to give him a max.
Yeah, exactly, right. But if you bring him in, then you also have to have the fallback plan from that, too.
Right.
Because it's a guarantee that he's going to get hurt. Now, I don't want it to be, with all due respect to 47-year-old Julio Jones. I don't,
Okay,
right.
But what did they think what did the Eagles think when they brought in Julio Jones? They thought
veteran presence can do a red zone threat.
tough in the red zone.
Yeah, right.
Michael Thomas can help you in the red zone.
Okay,
that's true.
I mean, if he
doesn't get hurt the first time he gets licked.
I got you.
They're licking guys now?
Seriously. I understand. I understand that
So
could
I'm a
be
football guy.
That could be an issue.
Terms.
But I would absolutely say if you were interested in Julio Jones last year, sort of getting him off the street, I think you would absolutely potentially have an interest in Michael Thomas.
Now, I'll be curious. I don't know how in-depth the drills will be. I wonder what they're doing with kick return. We didn't really talk about this.
It's going to be so weird.
Brent Covey was on the team for one reason last year. He might not make the team this year.
He might not.
Because why waste a roster spot for a kick returner?
Plus, they know he's a locker room guy that will talk.
But you know what? Let's say he never talks. Why waste a roster spot for kick return? Unless he's Devin Hester. Now, Devin Hester is also a pretty decent wide receiver, but I'm saying playing to that level of a Devin Hester. Britton Covey might not make the team depending on who else might be able to return kicks that could play other positions. Cooper DeJean's been mentioned a lot. Some of the storylines that we're going to be paying attention to. Would love to get some of your answers as well. 610-632-0975. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we get more of your reaction. We reset the show, and at 9:10, if you missed Adam Schefter, who joins us every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock, you're in luck. You got the 5 best minutes from Schefter. We still have our Phillies montage that I want to get to again. Man, got an hour left. We still got a lot for you. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Still the best record in baseball. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is
On this Wednesday morning. Hope your work day is starting off good because, it's almost done for some people this week.
It is almost done.
It's almost done. This is great because it's hump day, right? So Friday, I'm heading down the shore. Monday, some of you are off. I'm not. I'm working. I'm not a slacker.
Are you shaming?
I'm not.
Well, there's only one guy on the show who ain't going to be here.
No,
that is the truth. There is, and I will not be listening, but I will.
Oh,
be,
wow.
I'll be with you.
Thanks for the support, man.
If I have a chance to sleep in, I'm sleeping in.
You sleeping until 10?
And honestly,
oh, you slept in today, so I don't want to hear it.
As I said it to you too, though, is, and I prove it every time I go away. I disconnect with
too.
the best of them.
I do
not. I honestly, I hope the building's here when I come back. But when I'm on vacation, I disconnect.
Yeah, I don't.
And I will try to do that and sleep.
Speaking of sleep, Connor just mentioned it. We've kind of hinted at it a few times today. Today was a first for me.
What was that?
Today was the first time I forgot to set my alarm last night. So at 4:47, when I'm usually out the door by 4:20, no specific reason why.
You were just waking up.
I was just waking up. Cooper started crying a little bit. He had to get his diaper changed.
Okay.
He was letting us know. And when I asked Christy, what time is it? And she said 4:47, I had a panic attack.
Do you not have a recurring alarm set?
I do. I turned it off yesterday because I woke up at 3:59 in the morning and my alarm set for 4.
Right.
And if I don't have to hear that freaking horrible sound, I don't want to. So I turned it off, but I forgot to turn it back on once the clock turned to 4:01.
What do you have, the OG Apple, the beep, 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 that one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I want to hit my phone with a hammer.
I hate it. So, if I can avoid hearing it, I will. And I avoid hearing it yesterday, but I forgot to turn it back on today.
Okay, well, I'm gonna shock you here. I've set my alarm for 9:04 to tell you.
No,
you'll
do that.
You're going to be able to hear what I wake up to. Now, you're waking up to a song. Yes.
I'm going to shut your mic off.
No,
so we don't subject anybody to this.
So it's not it's just what would get you up, because I think I could sleep.
10 seconds, I'm going to find out what you hear every morning.
I could sleep. No, but I usually wake up before it goes off.
Okay.
But but I've set the alarm for 9:04.
There's 2
so
seconds
it'll
left.
come on here and it goes and it'll.
Oh, jeez.
That's insane.
You know what though? It'll wake you up though.
Will it?
Yes. You hear the Price is Right music, you will wake up.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Please do, because I'm thinking it.
That is the whitest middle-aged man thing that you could have ever done. Have the Price is Right as your freaking alarm in the morning.
I will sleep. I sleep the sleep of the dead.
Oh,
and if you put on any one of the alarms, regular alarms,
you're sleeping through it.
That's the alarm of a man with an exceptional credit score.
If you put on like a beep.
He's not wearing his New Balances today.
No,
no dad cruisers on.
No.
That's amazing.
No.
Come on, Johnny.
All right, coming up in about 5 minutes at 9:10, you'll hear the 5 best minutes from Adam Schefter earlier today. We also have our montage from the Phillies win last night that I want to get to. But let's get back to the phones, and I want to get some reaction as well to our topics on hand. What makes this Phillies team so good? Are they one of the most beloved teams in your lifetime? And if you heard today that Paul George signed a max contract with the Sixers, what would your reaction be? Let's go to Mariano in Argentina. Mariano, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
How are you guys?
What's up, Mariano?
Hey, buddy.
I was just listening, and you guys were saying that the game at Brazil is obviously at a neutral site, and that's true. But they made a poll on a Brazilian website only for people that bought tickets, and it was 75% Eagles fans.
That's
they would ask you, are you an Eagles fan, a Packers fan, or you just neutral and okay who wins? And 75% of the people who bought tickets said Eagles.
You know why though?
It's going to be like I
6 weeks they had 6 weeks head start though. They had a 6 week head start. Over the Packer fans.
I know it's not going to be like a game at the Link, but I think it's going to definitely be.
It will be more Eagles fans related, but there's so much more to it than just crowd noise. I mean, like I've been to other NFL stadiums for Eagles games where it sounds like it's an Eagles fan takeover, and I'm sure that pumps up the team a little bit. I'm sure if they look around the stadium and see 75% Eagles green in Brazil, they'll go, damn, this fan base is really cool. But it's the field, it's everything, right? Like think about it, Mariano. Their entire schedule changes. Like their entire training schedule. If you're home, and thanks for the call, Mariano. If you're home, you're sleeping in your own bed.
Yes.
You're you know your commute to work.
Yeah, you don't have to have 2 days extra built into your schedule.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and the Eagles volunteered for this.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Lurie said, "Oh no, we'll go."
It's interesting. So we had Schefter, and we'll replay it. I'm sure it was a part of it. The thought process of doing stuff like this, and Schefter talks about the bigger picture of the increasing the not just dollars and cents, but even though that's what it comes down to, the publicity of the NFL in other countries, and maybe even grabbing a specific country to be a fan of your team, right? Like London. Everyone knows that it's pretty much Jacksonville, right? There's a lot of Jaguars fans out there because that's the team.
Every year.
They're there every single year. But if it could potentially hurt your team,
it doesn't make sense. And by the way, again, Dallas hasn't been in a decade now,
right?
And we're going to go.
What has Dallas won? Nothing.
And we're going to go for the second time. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't, and what does it benefit a Philadelphia Eagles fan that they're playing in Brazil? Well, and by the way, they're playing.
It doesn't benefit an Eagles fan.
They're playing in Sao Paulo,
but it benefits the Eagles organization,
right?
And if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I'm saying the organization to me is what I own and what I'm building.
What if you start the season 0-1? It wasn't was it totally worth benefiting the dollars and cents?
You know what I say? I've been paying enough upfront money to make this team good enough to beat the Packers.
Okay.
If you lose, I don't care where you're playing. You should win that game.
Okay. And that's fair to say, even though I do think you're adding an extra variable to making this game more difficult. Now, it's more difficult for Green Bay as well because they also have to travel to Brazil and do everything else, but they would have been on the road anyway. You're now taking look, sleeping in bed's important.
It
right?
is big. It's very big.
You see home and road records all the time. That's a big part of it.
You guys are right. I'm just saying Jeffrey Lurie has more on his mind than just this team on the field week one.
But honestly, anything that Jeffrey Lurie is doing should be to accentuate what is happening.
It is.
No, it's not. This does not benefit the 2024 Eagles.
Yeah,
it doesn't benefit them in any way.
Not this. It benefits the organization.
No,
they grow the culture of the Eagles fan base.
That's just the 2024 Eagles.
You can say who cares from a guy who lives in Philadelphia. And there's some dude in L.A. that likes the Eagles because they played there. And there's some dude in Argentina that just called us that likes the Eagles for sure. There's more people out there, and Jeffrey Lurie wants as many Eagles fans as possible.
And it doesn't benefit his team. It doesn't benefit his players to try to win a Super Bowl for the city. That's what it is. His job should be everything I can do, and he does, by the way. He's a great owner as far as trying to make sure they have first-rate facilities and all those kind of things. But that should be his number one agenda, not building the game in Brazil, in a city where the majority of people don't care about the NFL. It's not something.
I don't know. I've never been there. Here's my point. He's not just building the game; they're becoming Eagles fans. Why do the Cowboys have the most expensive stuff? And I know it doesn't work for them.
America's team,
right? The more fans you have, the more prestige your organization grows. That's better for ownership. It's better for business. It makes your team better long term.
Then send America's team overseas.
Well, but they're America's team.
Send
John.
America's team overseas.
They're not Brazil's team. All right, it is 9:10. We'll get more reaction on the text line coming up, but it's 9:10. We do this every single week. When we're joined by Adam Schefter at 8 o'clock on Wednesdays, we replay the best 5 minutes at 9:10. The great Adam Schefter. Shefty, I'm curious. You said last week that without even looking at the schedule, you would pin the Eagles as a team that won around 12 games, if not more.
Yeah.
And I would like to know what makes you so confident about that without even looking at the schedule. Is it mainly talent? Is it the coaches that they acquired during the offseason in Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio? What makes Adam Schefter feel that confident that the Eagles can have that kind of win total during the regular season?
I think it's all those things. I also think who in that division is going to knock them off that perch. Who in that division truly represents a threat to them? Who in that division would you look at today and say you fear that team? There's not a team in that division right now that you're concerned about right now. Now, that doesn't mean that the season couldn't start and Dallas couldn't get rolling. Jaden Daniels couldn't turn into Lamar Jackson 2.0. I got it. Any one of those things could happen. That's just always makes the football season so intriguing and so interesting, is that there are developments that we did not anticipate in any way, shape, or form. But going in, I like the Eagles' talent. I like the Eagles' coaching staff. I like that in their division there's nobody else that really scares me. It's all those things together. And when you put them all together, for whatever that's worth on May 22nd, then, yeah, to me, 12-5 is plausible. Doesn't mean they get there. Doesn't mean they have the great year, but they go in with you feeling pretty good about their chances of having that kind of season.
Years and years of going to NFL training camps and broadcasting from them. I was always amazed, Adam, how the veteran players never wanted to gush too much about rookies. And in the past few years here in Philadelphia, we've seen the veterans gush on Jordan Davis and then last year Jalen Carter. To me, I look at it this year and I'm waiting to hear who the veterans gush about of this youngster class, because I do think that's special when veteran players are willing to praise kids who just arrived.
Well, yeah, they usually have to win their respect, right, and earn it over time. And if you're getting that early on, that's certainly an encouraging sign, without question. But, I mean, these guys, they can tell who can play usually right away. Like, you could just see it. The guy's got it or he hasn't got it. And it doesn't take these guys very long to recognize that, in my mind.
You have a very discerning ear for knowing what's news and what isn't. So if you're a fan that is excited about Eagles OTAs this week, what should they be looking to hear come out of OTAs that is actually probably something of value and worthwhile and worth getting excited about, and maybe something that they should just sort of disregard if you have one of those?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything in particular that, the first thing I always start with is you just don't want anyone to get hurt, right? Even though it's OTAs, you just don't want anything to happen like that. As long as nothing happens like that, win. But I'm sure we're going to hear, this rookie looked great. Okay, well, what does that mean in OTAs? 7-7 drills, and so there's nothing that I'm going to get overly concerned about or excited about. It doesn't mean much to me. I just, if you're an Eagles fan, you just want this team together. A lot of new faces, no Jason Kelsey, want them growing together, trying to experience, the new systems, offensive and defense systems, and I think that's primarily what you're looking for right now.
It seems like everybody on the Eagles will be reporting to OTAs because Howie Roseman has it.
That's the other thing, is that they've addressed these issues.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know that there's anybody skipping OTAs because they want a new deal. I mean, there might be somebody that I'm unaware, but Hassan Reddick's been traded. Lander Dickerson signed. Jordan Mailata signed. Devontae Smith signed. A.J. Brown signed. Who wants a new deal that didn't get one?
Right.
I mean, everybody wants a new deal. The Eagles don't have any of those issues. They've addressed them all. So none of that hangs over them. They've been proactive. So, they've done what they're supposed to do to this point to set up their team to be ready for OTAs, while there are other players and other teams that have lingering issues like this right now.
How impressive is that? From all the years you've covered the NFL, seeing a team go into a camp with what seems like no drama, especially after how the season unfolded last year. Like, it feels like it's a drama-free start to camp for the Eagles.
Well, it's just a continuation of the way that, to me, they do things. They're proactive. They try to get ahead of things. You can't get ahead of everything, and I'm surprised more teams don't try to operate that way. But that's how it is. Like, by the way, again, we mentioned all those deals for the Eagles. Am I missing something? Do we remember the last Dallas Cowboy that got a long-term deal done this offseason? That a guy they wanted to keep that they cemented in place? I don't remember that happening.
No. I want team turmoil, and everybody's on a one-year contract. So that's perfect.
Yeah. Well, you got some of that going right now. Now, again, there's plenty of time to address it. I got it. But a little weird, right? Like, none of that is going on in Dallas right now.
All right. That's the 5 best minutes from Adam Schefter, who joins us every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And we replay the 5 best minutes at 9:10. Look, all I got to say is I am very thankful for Howie Roseman and the Eagles organization. The fact that we're going into OTAs, I didn't even realize it until I asked the question. That's kind of weird. I didn't realize it until I asked the question. There's no drama right now.
When has there been drama?
There really hasn't been.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the last drama.
The Hassan Reddick situation was asked about during camp last year.
Yeah, but it wasn't drama.
Didn't Fletcher Cox have something one year?
That was the year they won the Super Bowl. He skipped OTAs and people lost their minds, and then they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that worked out.
But I mean, it's a long time ago now.
Long time ago, yeah, and that's look. I mean, the Justin Jefferson situation. If you're a Vikings fan, you're probably going, "Oh my God, are we about to lose Randy Moss a second time?"
Well, especially when you have a young quarterback that you just invested a ton in.
Yeah.
And if J.J. McCarthy sees Jefferson walk out the door, he's going, "Are you kidding me?"
He's going to lose his mind.
Because I mean, that's you would hope that that's something you're creating chemistry for a long time.
And if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm sitting there going, "All right, I expect them to pay him because he's the best thing we've had here in a long time." But there's always that thought: what if he doesn't? Look, they literally watched Randy Moss leave.
They did.
It's not like this hasn't happened before. Now, if you're Minnesota, you're the ownership group. You allowed that to happen one time already. You don't want to allow that to happen a second time. I don't know if it's the same owners, but you get the history of the franchise.
I believe still Ziggy Wolf.
I don't know why you wouldn't want Justin Jefferson on your team, or you wouldn't be willing to pay him.
Well, they'll probably say, "Wow, we haven't won anything with him." So.
But you just invested in a young quarterback.
Yeah.
That to me is just that's got to be the dangling carrot. You got to have it.
Yeah, I am very thankful that it's stress free going into OTAs. The only thing, like, we're looking forward to storylines. That's it. We're not going, "Oh, who's going to be upset? Who's going to be upset about money? Who's demanding a trade?" We don't have that this year.
No, there's none.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, what do we have on the text line, Connor? I know you said we've had a lot of texts coming in about all our topics today.
Well, now we have my mom text me saying Justin Jefferson isn't going anywhere. Tell the guys to shut up. So,
all right.
Oh, that's terrible.
Thanks, Mama Thomas.
But yes, so we have a check-in here with the Paul George conversation.
Okay.
First-time texter, Robert B.
And if you're just tuning in, the question was, if we broke the news today, if we played the breaking news sounder and Adrian Wojnarowski has reported that Paul George signed a max contract with the Philadelphia 76ers, your reaction would be what?
Robert B. says, hasn't George shown that he doesn't bring much in the super team philosophy? He just spent a bunch of years with Kawhi, Harden, Russ, and others, and it never worked out.
It only works for our YouTube audience, but I'd go, as I'm raising my hands going,
it could happen. Okay. It could still happen. I mean, look.
It could still happen, but he's now older and more beaten up.
I don't want to speak in actualities. That's my biggest thing. Like, I don't want to just say, "Oh, they're not going to win if they get Paul George." I can't just say that.
No, but I'm saying is that if you're thinking that this is your rationale is, this is a guy who's been part of super groups.
Yes, he has been.
Yeah. And he has not delivered.
Track record would show it's not a safe bet. But if that bet is plus 10,000 and every other bet is plus 15,000, I'm taking the plus 10,000
because
bet.
your odds are higher. Or better.
Doesn't mean I think I'm going to win. But you got to take the best option, right?
Yeah, I mean, and
is that the best option for?
I don't know, and that's
for
the thing.
Building your team.
Look, at some point there will be players that will come available via trade. You'll start hearing about the disgruntled star. You'll hear about how this guy wants to go this way, or this guy wants to leave. Remember, Damian Lillard for the longest time was never going to leave Portland, and then eventually he leaves Portland. So that's probably going to happen at some point. There's going to be other players that are all of a sudden available that we weren't ready for, that we weren't really thinking about.
Well, other guys don't run from the grind like Dame.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if Paul George is the best guy available, because as we know, it's not great.
No, it's not. But the
thing free
is,
agents aren't great
for the long haul. I don't know where someone's telling me that that's the best thing that they can do.
Well,
it's for the short term. It may
right.
be,
and the
but
thing
for
is, John, it's not. It might not be about the long haul.
Listen to Joel. Listen to what he's asking.
Sure. Body's the one saying.
Should you? I know that's the thing. Like, I don't know if I can listen to Joel.
Well, if you're talking about bringing in Paul George, then you're dealing with somebody who's been more banged up than Joel.
I'm talking about
considerably
a 2 or
more
3 year
banged
window.
up.
That's what it's all about. The little window that we got. All right, coming up next, we'll continue getting your reaction on the text line, but also Phillies Rangers Game 2 preview. And the reason why I want us to preview tonight's game, Mr. Locked On Phillies podcast over there, a win tonight sets a franchise record. If you didn't hear it earlier, I'll remind you what that franchise record is. It's a pretty big one. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic.
8:30 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up this segment, I'll tell you about the franchise record the Phillies can set tonight, and we're going to play a little montage. But real quick, something interesting that I haven't thought about. I saw a tweet. I'm always on the For You tab and not the Following tab for whatever reason. It flips on its own sometimes.
So annoying.
Mine always comes on the For You.
Yeah.
I want the Following.
I want the Following. But I don't follow Awful Announcing, but Awful Announcing is on the For You tab probably because of what we do for a living, right?
And we're awful.
We're Awful Announcing.
So there you go.
So they posted a video from First Take with Stephen A. and Shannon. And the question that they were asking was, is Anthony Edwards the new face of the league? So Awful Announcing put out a tweet. Is this the beginning of, once LeBron is gone, the guy that they talk about pretty much every single day? We know the Cowboys are always talked about on these networks, right? Is Anthony Edwards that guy? And, I'm trying to think. I guess. Like, is he going to be the guy? They wanted it to be Zion so bad. Remember, he was all over TV when he was at Duke.
He was.
And it has not turned into the guy they thought they would get in the NBA.
Well, he's sweating honey mustard.
So they need a face of the
Let's
NBA.
Be honest.
Is it going to be Anthony Edwards?
It could be. He's a charming young man.
His only issue is Minnesota.
It's a good point. Now,
how many people care?
LeBron was Cleveland.
But he's LeBron. He's been LeBron before he got to Cleveland.
Okay, it's a good point. Yeah, Anthony Edwards was not as hyped up as LeBron James.
No, he was not.
They wanted it to. Remember, they wanted it to be Trae Young real bad.
They wanted Trae Young to get there.
It was Trae and Luka, and Luka's been still tremendous in his career.
Do you think the Admiral and Tim Duncan were ever? And you can't get more remote than San Antonio.
No,
it's as remote as it comes.
Yeah,
but I don't think of them as being the constantly talked about. I mean, Tim Duncan was boring as hell.
Yeah,
great play. Great play.
Anthony Edwards has pizzazz to him too.
He's got charisma.
Right.
Yeah, those guys were kind of in the weird post-Jordan, pre-Shaq and Kobe zone, but there wasn't really a team in there, so I guess it was them.
So I wonder, is it Anthony Edwards? There's other young rising stars in the NBA, and the NBA is a great sport because there's only 5 guys on the court at one time, and Anthony Edwards could play 40 minutes a night.
You guys aren't going to want to hear this. But if the Celtics win the finals, it's going to be Tatum.
I don't
know that it is, dude.
I don't think Tatum doesn't have the charm of Anthony Edwards.
I think he gets a lot of love already.
He gets a lot of love.
I don't think it's Anthony Edwards. Now, look, the Celtics would probably be on national TV more than the Timberwolves because of the history of the Boston Celtics.
Well, we do have some news on this.
What do we got?
Do we?
Yeah, Sports Business Journal is reporting that the NBA will formalize new deals with ESPN, NBC, and Amazon.
Okay.
Sports Business Journal reporting that Basketball Night in America will move to Sunday nights after the NFL season. So after the NFL season, they'll have Basketball Night in America, a primetime Sunday night game every week. So starting in February, mid-February. TNT and Inside the NBA are done after next season. So next season will be the farewell year for TNT and Inside the NBA.
It does suck.
That's an incredible program.
I'm going to
not just about sports.
I'm going to tell you, I may have a little inside info on this one that I don't believe that.
You know somebody on the show?
I don't believe that Inside the NBA as the show is far from done.
Okay.
And there are things they can do to be able to get Ernie to be able to be potentially a part of it.
Right.
So don't think that it means that it's
Amazon allows that. Look at Al Michaels. Al Michaels was still NBC. The guy that he did the game with Herbie, Kirk Herbstreit, was ESPN, Amazon
completely allows it, and there are options. But Ernie Johnson is going to stay loyal to his Atlanta roots, and he's going to be there, and he's going to stay with TNT. He's not opting out or anything.
Okay. I hope that show continues.
I'll tell you what, though. When it does come time for that show to end, you can't give them a final season. Because the stuff they
next year.
The stuff they already say, Chuck and Shaq are going to go nuts.
Next year will be must-see TV as it always
absolutely.
is. It wins the Emmys all the time. It's the best. And congratulations to Greg Olson, by the way, who wins the Emmy last night for best performance as a game analyst.
What was he rewarded with?
Demotion
and a pay cut
and a huge pay cut. as he now has to watch as the Madame Tussauds' favorite analyst, Tom Brady.
They call that the Dwayne Casey Award.
For those of you who listened to the previous show I was a part of, I was the only Greg Olsen fan, and I thought he didn't get enough love.
I think Greg Olsen's fantastic.
And I think a lot of people did not like Greg Olsen, but I think Greg Olsen has gotten better and better every single year, and I think this Brady thing is just because he's Tom Brady. I mean, let's face it.
It is. It's because now that may. One thing I do believe, though, is I think he's going to be pretty good at it.
Okay.
Brady. I do think he's going to be pretty good at it. I just don't find
he better be for what he got paid.
I don't find Tom Brady a compelling or really sort of likable figure at all, especially now as he whines about, I got paid $25 million to let people make fun of my ex-wife and annoy my children.
And now the kids are upset.
And I'm acting like I don't know that was going to happen. To me, he has no self-awareness. And so I don't know that it's going to end up being, but he may be a great analyst.
All right. Well, we'll find out this season. All right, so the Phillies, a win tonight sets a franchise record. I will tell you what that is next after we play the montage from last night's win, courtesy of our friends at NBC Sports Philadelphia and put together by the great Brendan Gunn.
Left-hander Ranger Suarez. Suarez comes in 8-0 with an ERA of 1.37.
Just great stuff and a great start to the year, and hopefully he can continue to do what he's been doing.
Swing and a miss. Got him with the slider. First strikeout of the night, 59 on the season for Ranger. Yeah, the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, back-to-back Ks.
And one of the difficulties that you have against a guy like Suarez is that he can pretty much throw any pitch at any time and command all of them.
Swing and a miss. 3 strikeouts for Ranger. Swing and a miss. That changeup, which is so good. Swing and a miss. Ranger just struck out the side. 5 Ks through 2 innings for the Phillies left-hander. Check swing, there you go. Yes, he did. That's 6 strikeouts for Suarez. That's a big one. Hit sharply into right field, a base hit. Here comes Marsh. And Schwarber's going to get an RBI single as brother Marsh crosses the plate to tie this game at 1. Well, now the best RBI guy for the Phillies, the guy with the best numbers with runners in scoring position, will face a pitcher that has held the opposition to a 152 batting average with runners in scoring position. Little squiver out to right center. That'll drop for a hit. Here comes Harper. And Cole wins the battle. And a strike 3 call. That was pretty clean right there. 7 strikeouts for Ranger. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. He's dialed it again.
Oh, great.
Strike 3 call right on the inside corner. That's 8 strikeouts for Suarez. Chase rate for Rangers, the highest of his career. A little more than 33%.
Oh.
No matter there. Strike 3 called, number 9. Out to center. That's well hit. Tavares going back to the wall. Gone! Solo home run. The Phillies are on top 3-1 thanks to Bryce Harper.
Had to be the promposal, Tom.
Had to be the promposal. What a sweet swing.
Yep.
Strike 3 called. He ties his career high in strikeouts with 10. 108 pitches for Ranger Suarez. Runners lead off. The count is 0-2. Strom set. Opposite way. Here comes Marsh, and brother Marsh makes the catch. And Strom leaves the inherited runners right where they were. There's the line drive. Base hit into left center field. Schwarber to third. They're going to wave him. JT is right on his heels. RBI for Bohm.
It is uncanny what Alec Bohm does with runners in scoring position. It is amazing.
Line drive out to left center field. It's a sac fly, and the Phils lead it 5-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The birthday boy is set to go. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. He went fishing in the dirt, and the ball game is over. And the Phillies win it by a final score of 5-2. And Ranger Suarez becomes the first Phillies pitcher since Grover Cleveland Alexander to begin a season 9-0.
Great job by Brendan Gunn putting that together. Another great win for the Phillies last night. And if they win tonight, they set a franchise record for their most wins through 50 games in a season. They would be 36-14 with a win tonight. This franchise has been around since 1883, Johnny, and we are potentially watching franchise history tonight. And we've already seen franchise history this year with their wins in April.
I'm looking for where, if you can go. Now, by the way, go win a series tonight. Win another series, which is just what you try to do. Just keep winning. We have a game tomorrow afternoon in the afternoon. But I keep thinking, okay, well, now when's it going to ramp up? Because people are going to try to downplay if they beat the Rangers in a series. They're going to be, the Rangers, they're not what they were last year, whatever. They're going to Colorado this weekend.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Who's terrible.
I said to you a couple of weeks ago that there's not a tough spot until that Braves-Dodgers.
They're going to Colorado this weekend, going to the Giants Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You swept in 4 games earlier this year.
They are home to St. Louis. Now, Milwaukee's a bit of a test.
They're a
first-place club.
They've been a good baseball team this year.
And that'll be good.
But that's a one series, and then they follow that up with the Mets.
The Orioles
and the Mets.
The Orioles weekend. The Orioles weekend in Baltimore is going to be awesome. I'm glad to be going to that Saturday game down there. That's going to be an awesome weekend.
But think about this.
Father's Day weekend.
Then you're back home after that against the Padres. So it's not like you're going from Baltimore to West Coast. You're going from Baltimore 90 minutes up, 95 back home. It's amazing. The schedule, we talk about the Eagles' schedule so much. The Phillies' schedule has actually been very beneficial. It's not really because the Cubs are a decent squad this year.
No, the Cubs are decent.
It's Cubs,
Braves,
Dodgers.
That's a 10-game
span of 10 games, yeah.
That is a 9-game stretch, or is it 10? That's 9 games.
9 games.
That is a hell of a stretch.
That's a big stretch.
That's a nice stretch, and that'll be good, though.
And then after that, it's 3 against the A's, 3 against the Pirates.
And you'll be in Lithuania.
I will be. Can't wait. All right, coming up next, the key three best minutes from today's show, and, of course, the crossover with one Bobby Cooney. Coming your way next, it's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
For Philadelphia sports fans...
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. What a fun commercial break talking about troubles with the law in your youth. Oh, the good old days. We'll be speaking to some students after the show today.
Trouble with the law is a good one.
Well, there's students from Bloomsburg that will be here today, and Bloomsburg may have been a rough spot for me one time.
Wow.
I'll tell you another date. But it's time now for the Key 3, the best 3 minutes from today's show, put together by Brennan Gunn. He'll be firing the button. Go ahead, B. Gunn.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
My question to start the show is, will the Phillies ever lose a baseball game ever again?
Just throw out the number.
It's unbelievable. The Phillies do it again last night, beating the Rangers 5-2. We have a ton of questions to digest about this Phillies team because they are so good. Why are they so good? How beloved are they? It's near the top for a lot of people's lists. This Phillies team is incredible. What is one of the number one reasons that makes this team so good? And you could give us a couple of reasons. And the other question, is this one of the most beloved teams of your lifetime? Like, I hear the stories of the 70s Flyers, that they would go out and go to a bar afterward and just hang out with local fans. It kind of feels that way with this Phillies team. Bryce Harper's helping kids ask girls out to prom.
That's really, like, very, very cool.
It's
that,
so
that
cool.
he doesn't find that annoying.
Right, that he goes, yeah, sure, kid. Like, I'll go do that. I mean, that's awesome.
Right.
That's so cool. So that makes the attachment between player and fan as well as part of the reason why this team is so loved. Now, obviously, a 35-14 start helps, but it's the same group of guys that we fell in love with 2 years ago and last year. So what makes this Phillies team so good? And is this one of the most beloved teams of your life? We have both made it clear that we would not want the Sixers to sign Paul George to a max contract. I have made it clear. I know from a basketball standpoint why it makes sense, but to what John and I both agree with, which isn't often, is the injury concern. Yes, he played 70-plus games last year. Good for him. That's great. But the 50 games in the previous 4 seasons, which I already deal with my other star player, like, I need an insurance policy if I'm paying max money. And this might be unfair, but I need an insurance policy for when Joel Embiid gets hurt. Not if, when.
And I don't believe that Paul George came here. It is a terrible move. This is atrocious. No vitriol. But to me, again, he is a declining asset. He is not an ascending player by any way, shape, or form, and he is a broken player. Ranger Suarez, 9 wins before Memorial Day. It's flat out stupid. He has a chance to win his 10th Sunday.
It's amazing.
Really before Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild.
It is unbelievable what he has been doing. The great Adam Schefter. Shefty.
Who in that division is going to knock them off that perch? Who in that division truly represents a threat to them? Who in that division would you look at today and say you fear that team? There's not a team in that division right now that you're concerned about.
My favorite word in the English language is joyous. And I think the joy that everybody is collectively feeling right now about a sports season, it's as special as I've remembered.
It is so special that last night, and in case you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about your Fightin' Phils, the 35-14 Philadelphia Phillies.
Say it again for the people in the back.
35-14.
That's bizarre. It's bizarre because it's not Memorial Day.
It is not even Memorial Day, man. I can't wait to see some footage of Quinyon Mitchell. Cooper DeJean's going to be the guy that's talked about probably the most because of the mystery that he is. But, dude, you drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. There was talks about potentially trading up for him. He's supposed to be the cornerback that's going to be here for 10 seasons, right? That's the guy that I'm most intrigued by, that OTA.
If you're talking about Quinyon Mitchell, I think it's something that all summer as we discuss this, he's the guy that if they got that right, my expectations for this team then could potentially go through the roof.
Alex Bowen with 2 more RBI. Like, it's unbelievable.
44 now. 44.
It's unbelievable. Last night was a Tuesday night in May, no holiday week, and the Phillies had over 41,000 people in attendance. I know that's not a sold-out crowd, but normally at this time of the season, you don't see crowds like that. And yet you got 41,000, and I don't think it's just because the defending World Series champions were in the building. It's because this Phillies team has captured the eyes, the ears, the bodies, because obviously people are going to the games, of Philadelphia fans all across the tri-state area, and it's amazing. All righty, that's the Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show. And now we are joined by the man who runs the show, the midday show, Bob Cooney.
What's up, boys?
Good morning, Bobby.
Hi, Bob.
Everything
How are
good?
you today?
I'm great. How about you? You know why I'm great? Because I was driving in today, And there was, stop. It took me 2 hours to get home yesterday. Schuylkill shutting down. I'm glad you guys missed that. But anyway, driving in today, totally stopped. I was like, what's the weather going to be like this weekend? So I say it into my phone. It is vastly improved. And I heard you talking about this, that it didn't look like it was going to be good. 87 and sunny Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's good.
Beautiful. Let's go.
And the pool opens, right?
Pool opened last night.
And
there it is.
Yeah, I talked to Bob. I said, Bob, you like to go down Brigantine. Maybe we'll hang out. No response.
I responded to you. We talked it out. What are you talking about?
We did talk it out, but you didn't give the response I wanted.
I have to rely on invites, Andrew. And
I'm inviting you.
I'm not sleeping at your house.
To my parents' house.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping at your parents'
sound like
house.
an invite.
You're cordially invited to stay at my parents' house.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on. I got invited to brunch on Saturday in Ocean City.
Ooh. Where? It's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing this weekend, but it'll be fun.
Now, the weird thing is I don't think of Bob Cooney brunch.
Oh, I love me a good brunch.
I love a good brunch.
I don't think of you as a brunchman.
Yeah, I like
doesn't
brunch.
like
I like
brunch?
food.
Brunch is tremendous.
Brunch is cool. Like breakfast. Breakfast, you're pushing it if you want to have like a drink on a holiday weekend. Brunch,
you're allowed.
It's it's a rite of passage.
But I don't think you're a bloody guy, right? You're not a bloody.
I don't do
And
that.
he doesn't do that because I know that. I don't see Bob
I might do a mimosa.
Now, the weird thing is I don't see you sipping
I could do mimosa. I might do a vodka and orange juice or
okay.
something.
Well, then that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, a little screwdriver action.
Outdoor shower beer, top 5 beer, yes or no?
Oh, God, yeah.
Connor doesn't want to do it because he's afraid he's going to get water in his beer.
No, outdoor shower's usually big enough that you can set it off to the back.
That's what
or
I'm
you
trying to
set it
tell
up
him.
higher. Yeah, you can always figure that out.
No, he's literally saying, no, I'm going to drink it right under the water, as if he's like washing his hair and taking a sip of his beer.
Yeah, dude, I want the beer.
From the looks of things, he hasn't been washing the hair much. I mean, honestly,
wow,
let's be honest.
He's losing a lot of that hair, too. He's getting a little,
since you pointed that out,
became
Bobby,
a 5-head real quick, didn't it?
You're killing him.
The headphones are
I don't
pulling
have
my
my
hair
headsets
back.
on, so I can't hear what he's saying
Maybe
anyway.
you should wear those.
The power alleys are coming in.
I'll bring up Bob's hairline
So we
you
got
can't
Amy
hear me.
Fedor with us today for all 4 hours, which will be great. A lot of good Phillies talk we have, and I got some specific questions for her when it comes to the Eagles, specifically the running game, because she said something yesterday that made me think, she's not a big fan of Saquon Barkley.
Whoa.
So we'll talk about this.
I think I heard what you're going to refer to.
Yeah, so
how many times did you pretend to be Juan Marichal at some point when you were young?
Juan and I were close back in the day. High leg kick that he had.
It's a great windup. Ranger Suarez, first pitcher since Juan Marichal to be 9-0 through 10 starts with an ERA under 1.50.
Pretty good. What was that,
1966.
Kenta Colby. Playing wiffle ball.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
You did some Kenta Colby.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
You did the underhand sidearm.
Oh, sure. I threw sidearm in wiffle
Did you really?
ball. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bobby Cooney.
sidearm.
All right, boys, be good.
All right, we'll be listening.
We will try our best. Support life-saving cancer research. Do your best today. H&H Heating and Air Conditioning, our friends, have made a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. Why don't you do it, too? Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof. Cancer research saves lives.
All right, we'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll get some more Eagles topics tomorrow because OTA's kicking off today for the Birds. So there will be some storylines coming out of camp from our local beats. We're looking forward to that. And we have some questions about this Eagles roster compared to the last time they were in the Super Bowl. So we'll have some fun with some Eagles talk tomorrow. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Everybody enjoy the rest of your beautiful Wednesday.